Hello and welcome to another episode of Don't Trust the Dungeon Master. My name is Alex K and I am the Dungeon Master. Welcome to episode 52 of Don't Trust the Dungeon Master Arkelya edition. We didn't play last week, that's right. So it has been 2 weeks. We left out of a really important cliffhanger. The party was really excited about the events that was happening. Some tears were shed and some people almost died. Multiple people almost died.
Some people did die. Some people did die.
Here we are to pick up back up there. As a reminder to my players, you are not level 11. You won't be level 11 until you complete a long rest. So you obviously need to live to the long rest to get the benefits. So if you're like at conveniently like, I don't know, 29 HP or something like that right now, you gotta make sure you live, okay? So, and I know you guys don't have many resources now because you're kind of quite tapped. Baldrick's tapped, Doma's tapped, Evelyn's tapped. I think the only people that aren't tapped are the Warlock and the Marshals. So half the parties have got things to do.
I got it.
This is the chance where the ancient dragon comes in and finishes us off.
All I have is my health. I have no spells, so it's gonna be
cantrips. You have cantrips.
Oh, true. I have cantrips.
As does Baldrick. He has cantrips. He'll be doing his mighty chill touch.
I have like wicked daggers and
All right. So instead of talking about this, we're going to talk about the session then. So yes, hello, welcome and come for episode 52. This is a milestone because technically streamed episode 52 would be the year mark, right? You have 52 weeks in a year. This would be the full year of recorded episodes now. Though, as we know, as I've mentioned it numerous times before, we have had some unrecorded episodes. Episode 4 was erroneously not recorded, and we just kind of evaporated it from existence. And there were like 6 or so sessions that were before we started recording. So technically, we're like actually, like 59 right now, actually. But nonetheless, episode 52 recorded now, or being done at this as we speak. And it does look like the microphones are working. Had to double check that because last time we were playing, it looks like they weren't working. And so I think everyone's good to go. So yes, hooray, let's get to it. So as we've been doing lately, and probably will continue to be doing, we are supposed to be having recaps. And I was supposed to continue picking on Potato, but I'm just going to let us go ahead and go back to the rolling fiasco. So you're off.
No. You can't do it
off the grid on that one. So why don't we go ahead and have everyone go ahead and bring their D20s.
He hasn't prepared.
Everyone go and bring their D20s into the middle, please.
No, I'm not doing it.
No, I want to participate. I never get to do these because of me driving my car. Get your dice in the middle of this board.
Look, every time I'm not ready, we roll and I get a bad roll and it works. And then you tell me to prepare.
There's no point to talk about this. Please bring your dice to the middle.
Here we go. So where are the cards? Where's the rules?
Oh yeah, those are in here.
Okay, so we're rolling now. Okay, here we go.
20.
5.
Okay, good. This is good.
Okay. And where's TT? TT, we got a 5, is that right?
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
Okay. So, it goes in the following. The highest roll, who is red, that is Doma?
Yeah.
Doma, who do you want to vote for?
I'm
To do the
voting.
recap.
Oh god, there's 2 people who want to do it now.
Teacher,
Potato's way too excited not to vote for him.
So you vote for Potato. Okay, and then we're going to go to the next lowest then, which there's 2. So let's just pick on DTW, because D is before P. DTW, who are you voting for?
Didn't Orange roll a 3?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Orange is... Yes, sorry. Potato, make your vote.
I vote myself?
Okay, DDW, make your vote.
I'm gonna vote for Baldrick.
Yeah, make it interesting. All right, next up will then be Baldrick. Who are you voting for?
I'm gonna vote for myself, of course.
2-2. All right, the next lowest will then be Owl.
What are they at right now?
It's 2-2.
2 for 2. She's gonna vote for herself and make it really spicy.
And then Roderick does the same, and it's a 3-way
I'm gonna go
tie.
for Potato.
All right, Petite. Seems like you have the
I love
opportunity
my tater tot.
to end this or to make it really interesting.
Add some spice.
Baldric.
Oh, you voted Baldric. All right.
Right.
So that means that I actually get to participate then. My vote matters. Interesting. Who do I want to pick on it then?
Fucking potato.
I think I'll do Baldric.
Oh my goodness.
So Baldric can do the recap of the last episode.
The one time Potato probably sat down and wrote
He's
out
prepared
a
before
really
too.
long story.
One time he prepared, he over prepared.
Why do you think he asked if Baldric was praying at the end? It's because he was finishing his thing.
The last time I had something prepared as well. It was
Just very long-winded, and then we had difficulties. So, but yes.
Here's what happened in the last episode. The last episode, the start of it, we get into Veneer. We get lots of descriptions of this sort of brutal kill box gauntlet that enemies would have to plow their way through. The whole definition of this city is well guarded, multiple layers of defenses in depth. It'd be really hard to push your way through. There is a spiritual tie into each one of these kill boxes with iconography of the deities.
Okay. Before you repeat a potato, it's a summary. You don't have to read all the details.
Dude, that was the first hour or so.
I know, but that's a summary.
20% of the episode.
It's a summary.
Right. Then we get into the city. All right. You voted for me, man. This is what you get. All right. You should have
I
voted
was
for
just
Potato.
about to say that you voted for Baldric, Claire.
That's why you voted for me, the doctor.
You can't push this responsibility onto us and then complain about how we do it. It doesn't
Yeah,
work
that's
that
fine.
way. You pick either you do it.
I
and you
can
don't have to-
also coerce you over time with gentle nudging and
to do
boundaries
it.
to help you kind of make it more of a summary and less of a recital of everything on the itinerary.
All right. Anyway, so they get through the gauntlet. We're actually in a Veneer proper, actually into like the city itself. We start to discuss what are we going to do, what's our plan of attack, when we get interrupted by two guards saying, Red Hound, the something hexolic?
Exalted
Hexolic. The Exalted Hexolic must speak to you right now. And none of us do an insight check. And then as I was watching, I was like, why didn't we insight check? Well, anyways, Domo goes off by himself because they put their hands on their scabbards and weapons, and it's very intimidating. And we're like, well, we got to save Aniel. So our party splits. Domo goes off to Jalzem's like sort of shrine box, and everyone else kind of heads up towards the Terrace of the Blessed is where we're going. We have a time split here. Doma basically gets interrogated by three people who hate him the most and want to destroy him, and it's not a fair judgment trial at all. They actually knew right away that him being here, they twisted his words in a way and did not give him a chance to defend himself. Really, Doma tried to take a pacifist approach and not defend himself at all, just taking dodge actions as they just casted spell after spell and blow after blow. And these are very powerful people in the world of Arkelya. Dome was about to get defeated for sure when suddenly another Hexolic shows up through tree striding and saves him just barely by giving him a very powerful spell aid. Way upcasted. But even that's not enough. The Exalted Hexolics are starting to fight against each other, and Doma is still just being barraged with spell, whittling more and more down to the very thin thread of life. Just when things are certainly going to be dead, because he gets a very high-leveled held person placed on him that blew my mind. It must have been a DC 25 or something crazy, because he rolled really well. It was like 23 or 24. He still wasn't enough, and the guy's like, caught. And then the disciple of Drabalor is like, this is it, boy. Enemy Jamaica. And then he sends this slow looming fireball upscaled to level 7 at Doma, and Doma light flashes before his eyes, and he's like, oh man, this is it. But then splished back to us on a different timeline, and for a moment DTW has the ability to screw the entire timeline continuity as we know it, but he decides to keep the course and he doesn't screw it up. We don't interfere with the timeline, and the Rithos. What's Rithos's
Exalted Blade.
The Exalted Blade makes it in time to absorb the damage that Doma was going to take that was certainly going to put him to death, or really close to it. And they have a sort of stalemate where now all the 3 Exalted Hexalic are talking to each other, because the little old lady shows up too, the one that's in charge of Illinois' temple. She shows up too late because she's slow and she's just taking her own pace. They all just seem to like, maybe we'll do this at another time. We don't have to put all our cards on the table. What was he have like a Swedish accent? Is that what you gave him?
Well, boy.
Well, boy, we don't have to put all our cards on the table right now. So they adjourn, and Travelor's disciple, he's like, I can do this. But he caves too, and he flanks out because no one wants to mess with Rithos. Rithos will cut him down in a million pieces. You know what's up on that.
With the mega sword.
So Rithos unknowns that we're on the death's knife's edge of Aniel's life. It's like, my boy, how are you doing? Let's talk. And Doma's like, no, we have to go. And it's like, why, what's the rush? Let's just go get a beer. Let's get a ham sandwich at some
Mayweather's. Ham and cheese sandwiches at Mayweather's. Come on, it's a staple.
Oh, yeah, of course. How could I even forget? They barely make it to us in time, where we then get ushered into the
Giver's Chalice.
The what's the chalice thing called?
Giver's
again?
Chalice is the name of the temple.
The Giver's Chalice. And Rithos tells everyone to leave, all the practitioners. We get this big Hail Mary. She's on the minutes of her last life, and we all agree that this is our only thing we have a chance for. Nothing else is going to work. So we take her into the Giver's Chalice and onto the spot where we believe Venahira. I always got to think carefully because I don't want to say veneer. Venahira will touch the soil, and there's a little pool of water in this diamond-ridden, special little antechamber, and we lay her there and just kind of all pray. And a couple people try to do a few more things, but it's all for naught. We just all have to pray and hope that some miracle is going to happen. And then Aniel dies, her last breath, and everyone starts to grieve in their own way. But then breath comes from her once again. Of course, it's gasping breath, and she's panicked and very upset. And she says Doma betrayed her, and then she just overwhelmed with emotion. She buries her face in Doma's chest, and then there's some antics with Baldric being blind and trying to get a medicine kit over to them, and end scene.
Yes. So let's kind of get ourselves back in that mental space. Mere moments ago, many of you thought Aniel died. She took her last breath. There was this injury that Baldric had inadvertently caused to her lower abdomen, just over her, below, like on her left ribs, a little bit down there. And while trying to do gentle repose to her, or actually it pushed some mana into her, he did more harm than good and gave her a mortal injury. Her skin was just so thin, she was dissolving, disintegrating, whatever she is, right, the celestial that she would be. She doesn't die like you guys. To her, as she moved to this last of the waning moment of her candle, interacting with her physically was causing severe damage to her. Her hair was falling out, her skin was shedding. You guys saw like a film of like debris coated along this crystal clear water inside this diamond bath or well, right? And her skin was so thin that the capillaries were bleeding out into the water, and you were seeing small little red stagnant starting to filter. But when that injury that Baldric did, trying to do good, it was a large amount of blood leaking. And then, yeah, she took her last breath. And as you guys were, as Kyle has mentioned here, starting to grieve in your own ways, most of you just still stunned, trying to process what to do. She took a breath in again, and first challenged, why are you here? And you guys explained a little bit, but nowhere near enough. And then she mentioned that she was alone. And then she hugged Doma and then started crying. And that's when Baldric came rushing up, cleaning his eyes. I have tears in my eyes, and eventually checking, and the wound's gone, and trying to look around to see if there was if there's something else wrong with her. And you guys have confirmed that her physical form seems intact. It's doing reasonably well. By an assessment, you would guess that she's probably near the final week or so that you had her back in Windheim before she absconded and left you all. Her health has kind of seemingly restored itself back to this point. At that point, you were going to maybe do some extrapolation, determine, is she safe completely? Is there something else we have to do? What other complications arise? And that's where, well, we need to get some detect magic going, knowing that in this chamber of this large kind of cylinder-like room with a huge steeple pointed top above you, and there is some slitted. No, actually, there's no windows in this room. There's just there's this massive column of light that seems to be emanating from either the water of the pool itself or these giant geodiamonds that just are clearly unusual. Massive amount of diamond in this room, right? And there's a glow that just permeates around. But if you have detect magic, it's near blinding. It's very hard to see at all with it going, and both Baldric and Roderick can attest to that. So, without your normal tricks to help you determine what her health could be at this moment of time, here you guys are. So Baldric sat down and started trying to do a ritual of detect magic, was the last thing I heard. I remember Roderick was interjecting, maybe we shouldn't be in this room anymore, before I interrupted him and said, unfortunately, we're going to close the session here since we were already going so late. But that's where we are right now. Aniel is weeping in Doma's arms. Both of them are still in the water. The water is mostly clear on the outer perimeter, but there is still a very real amount of red kind of floating around Doma and Aniel themselves. And you are all there.
I'm gonna turn around because behind us is
Rithos, who sealed all of you inside. As you gained entry, he opened the way, and then when you got past it, he closed the threshold. Some kind of divine signal being reiterated on the door.
I want to see what he's doing, or what his expression is, or what is he doing?
He has his arms folded across his chest. In his left hand is the scroll that he broke the seal from your mother, but he has it kind of clenched up. It looks like that, from his interpretation, what you would surmise is when she died, he probably gripped that scroll very tightly. And but beyond that, he's seemingly wide-eyed, no other emotion besides that his eyebrows are lifted up. But he does see you looking at him. He's probably a pretty perceptive individual, and he looks towards you. And then he kind of nudges his head towards Aniel and Doma.
Is he perceptive? Because I thought you said last time that like student, like teacher or something about perception. When we were trying to yell out to him. I remember that. I remember you saying that.
Perhaps. But in this space, he seems pretty perceptive whenever you guys have turned.
A little different area than him running through a city trying to save someone, I guess.
No doubt.
But how much time has elapsed at this point?
This is within 30 seconds of Baldric sitting down.
Okay, so
huffing to himself, going, I have to cast detect magic. But you could do it. You could save him all the trouble.
Yeah,
so any idea why Acrobat Reader wouldn't open?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
You could right click it and open up an Edge right now. Edge just still can do PDFs.
Yeah.
Oh, can it? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let's do
can.
that.
Oh yeah, do that.
Or Chrome.
Nice,
Chrome
nice.
you can open with that too.
My computer's just not opening it for some reason. I'm gonna guess it just glitched out.
Could be
Cool,
an
the
update.
PDF worked. Nice.
Could be an update, yeah.
I work in IT, folks.
Thank you.
So Roderick would, kind of look at Evelyn and take her hand, and kind of slowly bring them towards the edge where Aniel and Doma are. To bring them closer.
So you guys are not entering the pool, but you're on the threshold of it.
Yeah, just want to give them before we go in. Just want to give them a few more seconds, to kind of, have that Doma and Aniel time.
And you mentioned the handprint on her side. You said there was no visible damage from Baldric.
Yeah, you asked the question, but I gave Doma the stimuli. But what it was be clear to all of you when she reached out and is hugging Doma's neck, that injury would be clearly visible, and the dress she's wearing seems to have eroded away in a pattern similar to the handprint that Baldric had given, and you would see this like tear or like whole handprint past it, and there is like blood on the dress, but that area does appear to have been healed.
Is Roderick able to see anything as far as for like any kind of, I guess, any physical indications that she's actually well enough to move out of the well?
You would need to do a medicine check, which would require you to be like Baldric and to go into the well. And then this, of course, would be I'll be upfront with you, without detect magic to make a good jurisdiction. This would be you're basically checking her vital signs as if she was a human like you, right?
Yeah, it's okay. He's just gonna wait. He's gonna wait a little bit still.
I mean, she's breathing, so that's a good sign. You are free to do such. I'm not trying to deny you of it, but you guys are.
Again, I'm just waiting.
You guys are insightful enough now to know about her situation that you recognize that as Baldric put it really well last session there in the final moments. Mana is very crucial for her survival. Whatever kind of mana she uses is very crucial, or she'll just disintegrate. So that would be the thing you would need to do, and you can't check mana with your naked eye.
Man, I'm smart. I figured that out.
Oh, Roger G's awakened mind to speak to Doma. It's like, hey, just make sure you check to see how she is. Just kind of clear everybody's mind.
-1 wisdom character doing the medicine check.
Check her out, man. Check her out.
Thoric, what are you doing? Because we didn't have your luxury here. You do not need to reveal the question I asked you. You do not need to reveal it. With the information that was happening, it's very believable that the cast will never know what Thoric was actually doing at that point in time. There was a lot of interference in this room, but right now we could definitely be seeing what you're doing right now. So what are you doing right now?
Well, that sucks, because everybody asked me, and I have answers to everyone already, and I'll answer to the viewers as well. Thoric was not praying, unlike the rest of the party. He was sitting there, he was more just done with it, and he just crossed his arms, and he's like, preparing for what's gonna happen next, because, gods don't answer their prayers. This is bullshit. Until they did. So now, he's visibly, I'd say, angry. He's just clutching his teeth. You can almost see the muscles on his face. And he's just gonna grab his weapon, grab his stins, and turn to leave, I suppose. I don't know where the door would be.
We're sealed.
It would be behind us. So for a crappy illustration, it's a cylinder-like room like this, and then there's one entrance in right here, and it's closed right now, right? So there'd be like a pool of water like here, and there's all these giant diamonds kind of around it, and there's a little spot like through here that you can walk up on a stairwell, and we would have, where are they? Doma and Aniel, and then Evelyn and Roderick are like up here, and a Call's like there, and a Baldric was like off in the corner. This room is not to scale on this little shitty map, right? But here would be you, and then behind you is good old Rithos, who I copied over there, but he would be like back here. So I imagine that during the final deed, it was more like a crescent shape like this, as the final breath of Aniel occurred. Baldric was kind of maybe actually a little bit in the water, and then he stormed off to get his med kit and came back, right? So I guess a call would be next to closer to Baldric because he was helping guide you. So, but yeah, at this point, I mean, you guys are free. Enough time has passed that you could have meandered off in different directions. But that'd be a rough approximation and then a little crappy map.
All right. Thoric is gonna turn right. He's gonna go over to the door, and he's not gonna punch it, but he just slams it with his hand and just turns to her, just open it.
We have things to discuss first. So you will have to give me some patience.
Light it down slowly at the door.
Are you not happy that she's still alive?
I couldn't be happier that she's alive. Other things that happened bother me immensely.
Doma, you had an awakened mind in your head.
Yeah, Doma probably would have stopped, like, sobbing for a moment and being really confused till he noticed who it was. He does, like, a quick check over Aniel, but it's not really, I don't know, in depth, because he has, like, no knowledge of this. All his medical skills comes from it works.
Yeah. She's got a pulse and she's breathing.
Yeah, that's about what he notices. I did wanna actually throw up a divine sense. I wanted to know if I could tell which god did this. Which one's hanging in the air?
Oh.
All right. Well, divine sense goes off. You don't sense undead, fiend.
And I guess it's consecrated ground.
And you don't sense celestial. You don't sense.
I don't sense celestial.
You do not sense celestial. You do not sense desecrated ground. But yeah, there would maybe be a little tinge, just a small tinge of consecrated ground, or maybe it might be the most consecrated ground ever, and you know it might be so pungent that you actually are like blinded for a moment. I'd have you do a Constitution saving throw, but it's irrelevant. Your thing only lasts 6 seconds. So you actually are blasted by a very powerful aura. However, it's so like you're trying to be like a bloodhound picking up a specific scent in a room that's just full of, I don't know, a very powerful pungent odor in the first place. There's no way for you to determine who did this. There could be a good guesses. Your speculation's fine, but yeah, you don't. Your little feature ain't gonna give you any lead.
Hey, it
Any
was worth
fiends
asking.
are undead?
I said there was no fiend undead,
Fiends
no
are
fiend undead, no celestial.
Okay.
Jeremy Clark has come in here. He's ready. He's a ghoul.
All right, so then it's quiet for a moment, as I think the thing we're waiting on is Baldric, but maybe not. Is there something else you guys would like to do while Baldric is just mumbling to himself?
I mean, at this point, a call would just kind of be at the edge of the pool, just scanning over his allies. Just thankful for what has happened.
You can see Thoric is definitely unnerved,
And he makes note of that.
but doesn't do anything about it. Okay.
Not at the current moment, no.
So, seconds tick by.
Evelyn-
Nothing is stated. Everyone just watching this.
So there's things I want to do, but I don't think Evelyn would do them. And so I'm just torn between following what I want and what I want to know and what my character in that moment could actually functionally do.
I'd
Only do what the character
do
would
what you are the actor of
so
the
hard,
character.
yeah.
Do what the character would do, not what you would do. Baldric
I know,
made
it's
many points of this, and
rough.
like, I have to do this. My character's a prideful piece of shit. So,
Hey, I never said piece of shit.
all right, maybe I added a few extra words there, but the pride point was definitely petty, that's for sure. Anywho, so do what your character. You're
Because
acting the-
Evelyn probably right now is just holding Roderick's hand for dear life and just like, what the fuck, and just is probably sobbing still. Like, yeah.
How does Rithos react? Is he doing or saying anything?
Well, he has his arms still folded over his chest, and he's looking at everyone. And make an insight roll since you're trying to read him right now.
That's my not very good stat.
It's not Doma bad though.
Actually, it's pretty okay. No, I rolled a 3. 8.
So you get for saying it's not Doma bad.
This guy would be strangely hard to read, but it doesn't feel like he should be hard to read. He seems like he just but you don't know. Not right now. He's eluding you. Maybe your own skepticism of the recent events is clouding your ability to read others.
Just because of like distances, we know it's not to scale. Like, what is the distance from like where we're located from
Yeah. So you, I mean, since you
here
guys
to
said,
where
since you
Thor-
said you
Thor- that was
approached you are within 2 to 3 feet of the surface edge of the water, and so you
And
could.
How far is that from what? Based from Thor, basically trying to understand whether you're able to.
Where
basically
annual,
the
yeah. So the radius
yeah,
of the pool is 10 feet. So that would mean that Doma and Annual, who are still in the center of this little pond, that again is about 3 feet deep itself, right? So Doma's waist deep with Annual, who's now her butt's still in the water, but her upper torso is out as she's hugging on and supporting herself with onto Doma. But they're within 12 feet of you, right?
And I'm saying basically how basically is the distance that basically where Thoric and Rithos are basically, is that roughly like the
They would
same
be
like same distance, so about the 10 feet or so. So I'm asking what it comes down to is like what it basically that basically I'm sure we heard basically him basically the kind of like the smacking like the door wall with that. But as far as for what he said, would I be able to hear that? Everybody able to hear that?
Yeah,
Or,
everything.
Like, Rithos.
Everything that has been, it's been so quiet, you were free to hear anything stated, including what Thoric had mentioned, since he did not say he was whispering it. So all of you heard it. However, it is completely conceivable that your characters didn't comprehend it because you're thinking about other things. In moments like this, it's very plausible for a person to be in their own head and thinking and completely miss conversation around them. But everything that's been shared so far that's been stated is audible in the entire room. Rithos and Thorak are about 10 feet back, and the door is within a good 5 or so feet of them. The room is not dramatically large. It's not dramatically large. There definitely will be more buffer around the pool than what's this image here happens to have.
Okay.
Be a little bit more space between that. So I guess it'd probably be maybe more like 20 feet in. So I guess the door maybe would be more like 10 feet behind them, perhaps. But Dun Thorik would have to be further back from you because he actually put his hand against it.
How much time has elapsed?
Oh, I know that we're really kind of freezing this frame here because I'm trying to give everyone an opportunity to, whoever wants to cross that threshold's allowed to.
So what Rogers is gonna wait for Roderick, and when Roderick is finished, basically it's tech magic, he'll go in with him to do the tech magic as well.
So it's going to be just quiet for like 10 minutes. No
not
one
not completely
said.
quiet.
All right.
I'm mumbling the incantations for the ritual.
Wow. That
Love
is
it.
not how I depicted this would happen, but you are free to do it. So
What else? I can't have a
not
conversation with someone
you.
right now.
I'm talking. You're fine. The rest of the
I
party.
know. If I didn't have to cast a ritual, I know what I'd be saying right now.
So
Alright. I'll speak up and be like, face Rithos, or turn to Rithos slightly and be like, well, there's plenty of opportunities here. What do you want to discuss? I'll look towards the rest of the party as well.
I would like everyone present, and it seems that your elderly colleague is a little preoccupied at the moment. If you would be willing to allow him to do what he's doing, I sense no ill intent from him. You are strangely anxious at the moment, and your comment that you are overjoyed seems to belie your inner thoughts.
I couldn't be more glad she's alive, because she's our friend, and it worked. I've witnessed a miracle happen, and I've witnessed one of the gods, whoever they may be, answer the prayers that were given. So why did they never answer mine? Am I not good enough? What about my brothers?
Yes, I can understand that. What is justice? Why is this an exception while all the other suffering around us has not been reprieved? I have no answer for you there, no wisdom that I could part to you. These are things you'll have to uncover and learn on your own and come to your own conclusions. But hopefully your conclusions are more optimistic than pessimistic.
Oh, I found my answers. More than I'll ever need just with this. They never cared. They still don't. what we want and what they want, our prayers are only answered if it's what they want. The second they're done with us, they toss us aside. We're just lucky, nothing more.
Let me pose you this. Many, even devout, had come to the same turbulent waters that you are in right now. This being short after the end of the era of Arcane and the beginning of the Rending, where thousands if not millions of lives was silenced. Why was Veneer saved? What about all those other cities prior to it? Why would the gods act only then? Were not all those lives prior to it just as important? My best guess is that gods are not omniscient beings that know the best course of action at all times. And they probably have their own strife and turmoils that we just aren't aware of. It would be a convenient truth if true, but if they are omniscient and choose not to intervene when they can, then I could very well see myself thinking similar to yourself right now. So perhaps this is just a comforting lie I've given to myself. But at least it gives me a means to be harmonious with my other beliefs.
What? They just didn't know? They didn't see it?
I don't think that's the case. I think they clearly knew that there was bad things happening on Arkelya, and lives are being crushed by the minute, chewed by abyssal forces. But there was something else happening at play that prevented them, something we did not see. We don't have the same fields of view, the same perception they do. It's easy for us to assume that what we know is truth. After all, we've been taught that way our entire lives. Even if no one else teaches it, you teach it to yourself. That armor you're wearing, it's on you, it's real, it's protected me from numerous strikes. But is it not possible there's something more? At this moment, Baldric, your spell goes off. Constitution saving throw.
Come on here.
That's what I'll do.
If you're having a saving throw and you're close to me,
He's
you
not
get
close
plus
enough. He's not. He would be away.
I thought he's
No.
literally right beside
That
her.
is not to scale. It is not to scale. Get your little ruler out of
You were 10
here.
feet. You said we're 10 feet, though, roughly.
That's 10.
Baldric is further away, and stop arguing about it.
Yuck. Come on, old man.
You got this.
9.
You immediately go blind.
You don't
Oh,
have
no, wait, does it help that I'm supposed to be helping him? I'm supposed to cast Detect Magic and help him?
Lord.
I can't see. It's too. There's more tears in my eyes.
So, no, it's harder to look. It's harder to look towards the middle where the pool is. There is,
That makes sense.
with Detect Magic going, there is literally like a column of light that's like pouring up from that pool of water, and then it kind of bleeds out a little bit. But even if you look at the wall, it's still like it's the light is reflecting off the wall, and it's really hard. But it is less painful to look away than it is to look towards the center where Doma and Aniel happen to be.
Man.
I need you for this still. Roger would take Baldric's head.
Lead me to her.
Give me your hand.
All right.
And Roger would guide them to Daniel.
All right, so Roderick bring Baldric, who's trying to block it, but Detect Magic goes through physical objects, such as eyelids. So you are literally still seeing, while you're trying to shield yourself with your own lens and body, you clearly still see the light, and it does nothing for you. But you get closer. And so as you get closer, eventually you're like next to Aniel and Doma, but they're in the very damn center, and you are like, it's starting to hurt. It actually is starting to physically hurt. You would be taking damage at this point.
Oh man, I feel like a marshmallow in a campfire. Oh,
Take 7 radiant damage.
Oh my god.
As you
Doma, bring her somewhere else.
as you feel like the energy you're looking at, as if since you're aware of it, it's like it's burning your brain. It's like the inner working of your brain. You feel pain.
He's losing brain cells. Oh Jesus. Not
Foster, are you
good,
okay? You okay?
This is physically affecting me. Oh, we gotta
Go back. Doma.
No, don't move. I'll just muscle through. Hey.
Make a Constitution saving throw at disadvantage then.
This time he's close enough, right?
Yeah, he's now within 10 feet of you because he's in the center of the fucking pool.
Add 5.
Add 5, but disadvantage.
Roll up my sleeve. Roll up the sleeve. Come on, dice. Gah. 8.
You're just as blind, and it's hurting, and it's going to hit you again. The damage will come again if you stay where you are, or if you keep the spell going. You are aware that you'll get hurt again soon, and it might
Will it
even
help
be.
if Doma moves her out of the puddle?
Yeah,
Aldrin?
Doma, move her closer to the edge.
I'm blind. I can't.
Closer to the edge.
Oh, so I'm blind. I still see stuff.
But you're
right?
seeing the fountain, I think he said. So maybe
You
if he
just-
gets her out of the out of the pool, maybe it'll be less.
It's more like
Do
this.
not
The
tell
light
me.
is
Bring her out of the
the light
pool.
is so bright that all he sees is white.
Okay.
It's just white in front of him, right?
All right.
He's not like darkness blinded. He's like being blinded by light.
By the light.
All right. So Roderick will guide him back out towards the edge of the water, and it's already said this. It's a Doma. Can you bring Aniel?
Move her. We don't know if it's safe to move her. We have to know if it's safe to move her.
I don't think you should keep trying to look at it, though.
I'm gonna give it one more time.
One more time.
No, it hasn't been long enough, and so you immediately would fail. You are still blinded, and since you're trying to force yourself looking back at the center again, I take 3 radiant damage this time.
For good cause.
And Doma, do you wanna do what Roderick suggested and bring her closer to the edge?
Is he risking permanent damage doing this?
And there's no way.
Probably permanent retina damage.
There's no way. It hurts though, Kyle. It does hurt.
Need glasses after.
Gee, I don't have much HP. I'm a wizard, remember?
Yeah. So
This is
10
just
points
your
is a lot.
Yeah.
free laser eye surgery.
Doma, are you bringing? You gonna slowly bring?
I was
Doma-
gonna.
Yeah. Do it slowly and just Aniel. Let us know if there's any change in how you feel.
Well,
As-
Aniel, how do you feel? Like, let's just ask her. Aniel, how do you feel?
She's gotten a lot quieter, right? She's no longer still crying. It seems like she's gotten it out. And still with her face like in your chest almost. She doesn't turn to look to everyone else, but you hear her remark, "I'm fine. I'm okay."
Would it be okay if he brought you to the edge of the pool?
I think so. I feel about as good as I did a week or so ago, and I wasn't here previously, so why couldn't I leave?
Not leave. Just closer to the edge for right now.
Yeah, just kind of scooch
Don't.
over by us.
You can,
Doma, go
Guide her
ahead. Aniel,
closer to
just
the edge, I
just
guess.
let us know if there's any change,
Toma, you can let me go if you want.
and I'll guide Baldrick towards the edge,
I really
as well.
wouldn't want-
So I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said because you're super quiet. Why is so many people quiet to me?
I basically said it's the last thing I would want.
All right, so you carry her bridal style still over the threshold towards the edge, which the water is shallower. It's kind of like a stairway in. So you actually are now out. Most of you is out of the water, and she's out of the water too. However, even if she's out of the pond, or most of her out of the pond, Baldrick and you, from Baldrick's perspective, you're still towards the center, and you recognize that there's really no real way that you could properly, as you imagine what it looks like, there's no way to have it where Baldrick cannot be looking at the middle and her still be there. Either leave her there and trust that things are okay for now, or take her out and examine her elsewhere.
Well, then we'll half turn to Rithos and look at him and just say, "Do you think it's safe for us to leave this area yet? Have
Well-
you seen anything like this happen?
Nope.
Your friend, seems to be in pain. I can see him clutching his head. So whatever he's doing, I would recommend that he ceases to do it at this point in time. It does not look comfortable.
It's not.
But for her, yes, about her. That's what I would like to discuss, but not if you are currently doing something else. I would like your full attention.
One more go.
All right,
Well,
Kyle. Sure, make another saving throw. With
I give him guidance beforehand. I was gonna give him guidance and then cast it.
It's disadvantage.
That's
I got the plus
Guidance-
5.
Guidance does not help.
It
Does
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
That's resistance helps saving throws, which no one has because it's normally not very good.
They're so both bad. Oh, 2 is a low. That's a 3.
You are.
Oh my
All right,
God.
all right. The dice have spoken. All right, stop.
Before that happens, take 9 radiant damage.
Ooh. His eyes are starting to goddamn sizzle.
There's like smoke coming out of his. No, I'm just.
I can melt.
Oh, it's spicier than a pepper.
I see the pepper.
There's literally tears coming out of his eyes again from the pain. Not crying tears, but pain tears.
Get me away. Get me away, Roderick.
So, Baldric, as you cut the spell, because you said you cut it, right?
Yeah.
You will be blinded for an indeterminate period of time. You do recognize that the light's starting to fade at the edges, right? So the spell successfully stopped, but it is just like your corneas are
Nicole, come here.
Are you okay?
Nicole. DTW.
I guess he fell asleep. Well, yes, what can I help you with?
It's my medicine apprentice. I need you to go into my bag and get me. What was the ointment I used when they first came out with the mountain blindness?
Yeah, that's right. You had the ointment.
You used all of it. You don't have
I
any.
did. All of it. We never said that.
We used all of it.
What would we
I'm
say?
not going to give you a free remedy to
Gosh.
blindness. Fuck off.
I never mentioned that I was out of said
It
material.
was out. It was a one-time free medicine to help help Thorak and Call.
Was we telling Nicole? It lets me know right now. It seems we're out of that medicine. What? No.
Sure.
Check again.
How is this possible?
Dig deeper. Turn the bag upside down.
I'm pretty sure I haven't used it in years. Haven't seen anybody need it with blindness in a long time.
It is empty. I'm sorry. I think this would be the same vial you gave us, but it appears to be all used. Maybe Thorak used it more liberally.
Someone stole my medicine. Who stole? I've been robbed. Call the guards.
Was it Wormsworth?
Get the authority. Wormsworth.
It's been like 30 seconds, and the blindness has now kind of reached the point where it's about halfway gone. So you're starting to see that you can kind of start recognizing that there's a little bit of light on the edge. You're like, okay, 30 more seconds, probably I'll be okay.
How is Aniel reacting to the group being, well, the group?
She's
Just chaos reigning around us already.
She's still burying her face into you as if she's like not wanting to face them. She's sheltering herself from them. Whether it's intentional or not, she's still hugging you, or holding you, or embracing you, or however you want to say it. Maybe just for support, maybe not. Alright, to speed it up. 30 seconds go by. Baldric, you're no longer blind. Your eyes do sting, though. They do sting still, as if there was, like, pepper spray. So there is an irritant in your eye, nonetheless. But you are...
Sand in my eyes. Oh.
Assume you weren't big. Well, nothing from that.
Are you okay now?
Yes.
Well then, can I have your undivided attention, everyone? Friends of Doma, Doma. What did we lose?
Oh,
Potato? Oh, okay. Okay. And then, is it called back, or is DJB still gone? He's still gone? All right.
Nicole.
No,
Nicole.
I've been here.
Oh, why didn't you respond when we reached out to you?
What?
Okay, proof for the pudding.
There was a lapse. Hold on.
No, you were just not there. Understood. It's fine. You're back now, which is convenient. Okay, so Rithos addresses you. The shenanigans with detect magic are being forgone for now. Baldrick's eyes are staining still, but he can see. He's probably blinking a lot.
Yes.
All right, so, well, friends, what we've seen here is, well, spectacular. And it fills my heart with joy, overfilling with it to know your friend still breathes amongst us. Although, from what you told me prior to us entering here, and from what we just witnessed, I have a multitude of questions for all of you, and some assumptions I have made. If you would please give me the same honor that I gave you, with so much faith based on the small, minute amount of information you provided me to grant you access to this very divine soil, I would be very much content if you could answer some questions of mine. Who is she? All right. Who
Her name
are all
is
of...
Aniel.
Aniel. All right. You clearly know that I am in mourning more than her name. But let's start off with this, then. Who are all of you? Since I have not formally introduced myself yet, let me start, and then we can go around. I am Rithos Finvir, the Exalted Blade of Vanir, leader of the leader of the Exalted Hexadolic, in charge of Vanir's safety, our sacred duty, champion of the Great Matron. Now, let's go by seniority here. Sir, you are in your twilight years, much like myself. You are
You're
muted.
Kyle.
Muted.
Yep.
I turned to Roderick.
Froze now.
I turned to Roger.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
He's looking right at you.
I am looking at Roderick, yes.
Roger looks back at him.
So you with the bluer robes, the glasses.
You said Twilight.
I'm referring to
Talking about
you.
age.
So
Age.
clearly,
Oh, yes, of course. I understand now, yes. Okay.
clearly you are a man of incredible wisdom and intellect, and based on your garments, I would assume you're an arcanist of sorts.
Oh, that's very astute. Yes, that's very astute. Yes. Well, yes, were you asking for some introductions? Well, my name is Dr. Baldrick Rothgar, and I am originally from Windheim.
Doctor, a man of learning,
That is correct, yes.
exploring
Learning
for
is the name.
information, and sharing that information for the prosperity of all, then, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes. I used my intellect to help save lives and better people. That's correct.
That's very much like the architect. Well, nice to meet your acquaintance, Baldrick.
Oh, it's wonderful to meet you as well, my lord.
You do not need to do that. You may call me Rithos. My title is not something you should refer to me by. I only presented it so that you knew of my station. Thank you for seeing past the red. And if you could, please continue to part your wisdom with our friend.
Can you repeat that, please, out of character?
Thank you for seeing past the red. And please continue to part your wisdom to our friend.
Past the red.
He then turns towards Thoric, who's right to the side. Are you a Drablorian?
Not anymore.
I would have sworn by the iconography on your gear and person. But
I used to serve in the Temple of Eternal Flame in the Medan Mountains. Not anymore.
in the Medan Mountains,
Yes.
as in underground,
As in under the mountain, yes.
where it's been sealed for some 3,000 years.
The gates have been opened. We opened
Yeah, we
them.
have some things to tell you.
You open.
Madame.
Oh, my boy! Yes, big changes. Yes. Oh, this fills me with confidence. Oh, yes, I knew it. I knew it. Right, under the mountain. He gives you a very hearty slap on the back, Thor. Ah, fellow servant of the divine. Yes, Jablorian. Ah, indeed. You know, with the gear you have, we would be willing to replace that, free of charge here with some Venerian steel if you would like it. With the iconography you're so damaged from so many monsters you have fought in over the years, it might not work in your time of need, and I would be remiss if I at least not offer to you to have a divine holy symbol be available to you at a time. We could replace this at no charge for you.
No, stop.
Oh,
It was intentional.
right, yeah. It's sentimental value, I understand. Well
stop.
then, perhaps then, we could offer you to buffer it out, repair it. Our artisans at the Terrace of Curiosity are perhaps some of the finest in the entire world. They can even repair enchanted gear,
Fine.
provided
It's fine. It's fine. It's intentional.
did not mean to be pushy. Of course you
telling
may.
you.
Yes, it's fine. Probably family heirlooms, I understand. Of course. But if you ever reconsidered, we could replace it, or we could repair it at the Terrace of Curiosity.
I'll consider your recommendation.
How did you two meet Doma?
Well, I'll speak for Akal as well.
Akal as well. I was just referring to Baldric and you.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were referring to the two that came from the mountain.
Akal's also from the... Which one's Akal?
This one.
That'd be me.
Two of you. Tabaxi. Interesting. Yes. Sorry. So then, let's back up then. Baldric, how did you meet Doma?
I was trying to buy a hat.
Understandable. And Thoric, how did you meet Doma?
It's true.
It's true.
Continuing in the crazy scheme of things, I was told by a friend of mine some people needed directions to the Great Gate because they wanted to open it. Though obviously only the king of Medan has the key, and I haven't seen him in ever. And supposedly someone killed him and took the key from him and opened the gates.
Feel like I'm missing quite a bit here. Right. But then you are a soldier, a god then, to know such secrets.
Well, used to be, I suppose. Again, that's long past me.
Of course, a freelancer, spreading the good gospel out there. Understood. Very well. Good man. All right then. Well, let's Akal then. So you've been introduced here. You seem very well disciplined. Your physique is impeccable. You must be a martial combatant, much like our friend here, Thoric.
Yes, I am. I am Ikal of the Broken Peaks clan. As it was stated, I am from underneath the mountains. My people are, well, one of the last true remaining remnants of Kualtaj. And I ran into these individuals in my station as a leaf of my tribe. We are to go and find knowledge, anything that we could use to assist my people in retaking our home. And, well, it's taken me quite far.
And I take it by the lack of weapons, then, that you are probably much like the Tempest and train your body to be your blade. Is that right?
Yes, we are. Well, each section of the tribe has a different specialty, and the Leafs prioritize self,
Discipline.
well, not self-discipline so much as you need not rely on anything but yourself.
Minimalist.
Correct. That's a good way to look at it. You have no need for tools if your body can be everything you need it to be.
I know quite a few people that have practiced a similar trade of that. Many of them are of the very lawful-oriented, following heavy regimented discipline, order of being very attuned with their bodies. But at the same time, there always seems to be a little bit of a swell of urge of freedom, wanderlust deep within their hearts. So perhaps the one-eyed. But regardless, Thorak, if you could, please continue to teach Doma of true justice. And thank you for seeing past the feints. And
Yeah, I'll do my best to show him the true ways.
And Akal, if you could please continue to teach Doma of poise and agility, for he has rather heavy feet. And thank you for seeing past the claws. Well then, you seem to have a little bit of a darker complexion. You must be from the Fleet. And he's looking towards you, Roderick.
Roderick looks around. The lead.
The deserts, the Fleet deserts.
No.
Then
From
where do you
Westwind.
hail from?
Westwind.
Family of sailors, then. Not able to escape the sun, of course, right?
In some respects. Not necessarily the sailors, though.
But Westwind, interesting. I have
Traders
not
in
been
the West.
there in 5 or so decades now. Interesting place.
Up this side.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nothing. My name is Roderick Greycrow. Pleasure to meet you.
I take it by your equipment. You must be an arcanist or a spellweaver, much like Baldric.
Yes.
Ah, yes,
Of
the
sorts.
inquisitive sorts, investigating the secrets of the cosmos, secret arcanums and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, that sorts, yes.
Yes. Intellectuals you are. Very intense. How did you meet Doma?
Sorry.
You just see Doma's face think for a second.
We were recruits in Fort Hall.
Oh, yes, right. The first place you were supposed to go to if you joined the war. So you've known him for quite some time then.
Indeed. Been through a lot.
So you must be quite good friends.
Believe so. Right, Domo?
I wouldn't trade you for anyone else.
Likewise.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Love to hear it. Well, for some reason you give me a vibe much like Ulysses. But, if you could, for me, any secrets that you find, please teach these things to Doma going forward. He will need them for when we are finally pressed against the very edge of the cliff, in that corner of final desperation. Those secrets, regardless of how taboo they may be seen, could be the very thing necessary to save all lives. And of course, thank you for seeing past the tale. Well, lady, not to deny you the opportunity first, it just seemed to coincidentally, since the arrangement of everyone here, you said daughter. Green scroll,
Yes.
so you must be the daughter of the High Observer.
That's correct, sir.
Yes, Zempa. Zorthan? Zamna?
My name is Evelyn Zestira.
Ah, Zestira, yes, that's it. I'm not quite so familiar with the names, but rather the post. Veneer's had a long-standing relationship with the High Observers of the past, so please forgive my ignorance on the subject. But
Quite all right.
clearly, then, you also are some caster of some sorts, yes?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would hate to be your quarry. Not 1 or 2, but 3 Arcanists. Man, that would melt anything in seconds. Now, of course, it's up to you 3, and he points to Doma, Ikal, and Thorak, to make sure the nasties never get too close to them. They can't quite take the blows like you individuals can. You must give them the time necessary to bring their destruction to bear. So you have much of work cut out for you. But yes, quite a competent group we have here. So you seem to have relatively amazing charismatic traits. A larger purview then from your upbringing then, I assume?
Again?
One of political influence, to have to balance the world around you between those of not just your own needs, but those of the greater world at large. These are no simple feats. It requires harmonization of an impeccable scale.
Yeah, I actually met Doma and Roderick at Fort Tall. I was there on a mission for my mother to do some investigations into what was happening. And they were able to get me safely out of there before it fell.
Alright. And so you've been traveling with them since it fell?
Since then.
Since it fell. Well, no such thing ever was reported to us. Well, then, nonetheless, I'm glad that they trusted your care with such, and I'm sure your colleagues are very grateful for your presence inside of it. Lady Evelyn, thank you for all that you've done. Please continue to help Doma navigate the political world and keep a center of order within himself, if you could. It's hard to keep everything contained in the larger scale of things. And then, of course, thank you for seeing past the horns. So that would cover all of you all. And of course, I already am aware of Doma. This would leave one last individual. She does not turn to him. She continues to look away. Who are you? And Doma, you can tell that she's starting to tremble just a little bit.
I don't think she's ready to answer all the questions this soon after. Well,
yes, you probably are quite exhaustive over your ordeal. Would make sense. So, some things to muse upon. You are not a mortal, are you? And Dom, you can tell her eyes go really wide. Yes, you must be under some sort of vow of secrecy or something. I've known others of such things, where you must teeter the line between what truth you can provide and what you cannot. It's always difficult with such things. Well, if you were looking for a more trustworthy person, open-minded, in all of Veneer, you perhaps have found him here. And not only that, I also happen to be the highest mortal authority here on Venerian soil. Only the gods have purview over me.
Can I insight check that he's the most trustworthy one here?
Absolutely. I can insight roll.
He's obviously lying. It's Baldric.
Not that I think he's lying, but I want to make sure. Oh gosh. 24.
Seems like he's telling the truth.
Just wanted to make sure.
Now, based on what your colleagues told us, before came here. They admitted some things about you, my dear. About connections you may or may not have. And here we are at the apex, where the deity I serve touched down here and saved all life on Arkelya. And I, and like many before me, have pledged our lives to serving her, to die for her. Life is our duty, and our duty is our lives. I don't want to pry where it's not wanted, but maybe I can make an appeal to you. For someone who is supposedly a servant of the very same great matron. I am an ally of yours. If Doma could tell you anything about me, I seek to only gain the prosperity for everyone. I will have no ill intent. I will not judge you for what you have done. I only wish to help. Can you give me any modicum of faith back when I have already provided such a large boon to you and your group to be in the very halls of the place I'm supposed to keep secure? And Aniel then turns, like, reluctantly, and she faces towards Rithos, which in the end is facing towards all of you, who probably are half straddled, where part of you sees Rithos and part of you can see Aniel because there's now this conversation between the two of you, right? I don't know how much I can say. I will do everything in my power to protect you. She looks to Rithos, and then she looks towards you, Doma. And there's this look in her face of just, like, can I trust this person?
I would trust this man with everything that I am.
Can you make a persuasion roll?
Certainly can.
He's got a luck.
It's my character.
He's
Do
got
I
a
have
character
a luck left? Do I
You
have
have
one
no
left?
luck.
No
Used
luck.
all of it, I think.
I'm pretty sure they're all
Well,
gone.
here's a luck counter.
Where's my character sheet? I have a luck.
I think you used them all, my man.
Yeah, there's
You
there's
definitely,
one left.
you definitely
Left.
used
You're
two
right.
for the first turn. One against Hesmar, and then one against that saving throw. I think you've used all of them.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
Alright, so persuasion.
Where's my character? Go!
Alright, it's a 10 plus. God, it's so weird that I have to open Edge now. Persuasion plus 9, so 19, baby!
Oh, it's charisma character.
Charisma character!
She looks from you, looks at everyone else in the group, and there's this conflict. You all know it. You all know her oath. And she looks at Rithos and her eyes rest on him for a period of time. And something about her just seems to soften just a little bit here. I am Aniel. As you guessed, I am not mortal like you. I am a celestial, created by Venahira, who I serve. Well, Aniel, thank you for sharing such an important detail. These are the conclusions I've come to already. This is not news to me. But for you to admit such things must feel very relieving to yourself. She kind of bites her teeth for a moment. Yes, I can sense it. Guilt upon you. You've sinned somewhere, haven't you? Greatly, haven't you? And she looks down. Child, think about it. Who is angry at you? Do you think Venahira is hunting you down? If you are the servant of her, like I am, you know her. She would not hold any animosity against her children. She would not even think there'd be something to forgive. And yet here you are, racked with guilt, hoping for forgiveness. And here in your final moments, the desperate darkness coming around you, she showed you that while forgiveness was never necessary, she would give it to you nonetheless to help you move on. You could not ask for a bigger sign than what just transpired in this very room mere minutes ago. So if the gods are not holding it against you, then all it is yourself. I'm sure the rest of these individuals, whom call you friend, but clearly you are all more than friends now for what you have done for each other. They have probably alerted you that you need to forgive yourself. And I will tell you the same thing. Do not let that guilt crush you, chain you down, or you'll be just like the plane of tyranny, one of our sworn enemies. In forgiveness, you can then reflect upon what would be the best actions to correct the wrongs that you self-perceive. It's not that easy, though. I've done terrible things. One day you will free yourself from that. You could start today. Well, Aniel, friends of Doma and Doma, this has been quite enlightening. Though, my questions do continue just a little bit further. How did you meet Anya?
I was buying a hat.
A little hard to explain. She came.
You would need to know more about what's happened. I take it by that statement that you're not supposed to tell me. You can tell that Aniel's very conflicted. Like, physically, she's like trying to keep herself contained, and yet part of her clearly wants to speak.
Aniel, I think it might help you to. He might be able to help you in ways we have been unable to.
I'll promise you this, Aniel. I will say none of what you tell me here to anyone else. It will be with me to my grave, which is not too far away.
Did that one before.
Insight?
Yeah.
Make an insight roll.
I trust him 100%.
See if there's more to that statement. God. Where it is.
Oh, you think he's dying? That's what you think.
I think you're just saying he's very old.
Yeah, you never know though. What was it? Sorry, insight. 3, so 17.
He's human, right? He's a humanoid. Human.
He is a human. Yes.
18.
18. He did not make a single lie there. He intends to hold it to his final moments, which apparently are a lot sooner than later. This dawns on you that Ulysses made a similar comment in the Venerate Vault. And it connects. Something's up with Rithos that you do not know about. Whether it's a new tribulation or never alluded to the past. Something's up with him. From one servant of her to another, then. I was... And then Aniel begins to reveal her entire story to Rithos. From her creation to the ordeal of having to make a choice, agreeing to the oath, her siblings, the blessings amongst them. All the things she's told you, all the speculations, assumptions, she goes through them. And she goes through all the history, not just the past of her then being imprisoned and the betrayal, but then beyond that, her in the prison with Rakan and the pain and torment that existed there for clearly millennia, to her ejecting that small fragment of herself past the barrier, hoping it would somehow free her, and it worked. It brought you all to her, and then she got free, and she should have left, and she feels guilty that she should not have dragged you into it, and she thought that involving you was going to invite punishment to herself again and to all of you. But she was weak. She enjoyed your company. She started to grow fond of you all very quickly. And then you all ended up on the mountain, and there was no choice but to go forward. Events kept dragging you forward like a leash around your neck. There was no point to stop but to continue going forward, unless you'd be crushed under the massive amounts of responsibility and problems chasing after you, aiming to destroy you. You got into Medan. You got sent into the mines. In the mines, you started seeing tomfoolery. Friends were lost. Friends were gained. You uncovered a plot of a creature previously sealed by her and her colleagues, to find out that that creature was being revived. And you guys attempted to stop it, or rather inadvertently ended up in the chamber where it was too late. Witness Levolt being there. And in the sacrifice of one of your newer colleagues, Duro, you were able to witness an item being brought to your world, ending in the very hands of the man that she fears more than almost anyone else. And he left you all there, seemingly not aware of your existence, with this weapon, this spear, this object, whatever this thing happens to be. Levolt has it, and it cannot be good. And as she's getting to all these details about this, you guys have been chiming in. You have not been just quiet, letting her talk about it. You help fill in areas of the story where she's not as clear on things. What has happened to you? You kind of use this opportunity for all of you to start revealing everything that's happened along your tale. Now, to be fair to you, I'm sure there's some things that some members of our group might not want to share to Rithos. For example, Thoric might not want to share his goals and aspirations. Roderick might not want to share his relationships with certain allies. Evelyn might not want to share her true origins. But all the events beyond those would be shared here. And if you do want to share these, because you trust Rithos and you think this would be an opportune time to maybe advise an ally who could maybe help you with some of those problems, you're free to do such, but I am not going to deprive that and rob you of that choice. But at this point in time, the rest of the story is shared to him. So did anyone want to make amendments to any of that?
I wanted to ask. No.
Okay. No from Evelyn, Roderick, Thoric. You three would be the main ones that I would consider that would have things that they would maybe want to keep hidden. That's a no from Potato?
No, I'm like, I don't think he wouldn't hide anything. He wouldn't be open about it, but he would sugarcoat it a tiny bit.
So in that case, I don't think you would consider it poignant enough to talk about it is what it would be. Not that you're intentionally hiding it, but just not worth bringing up is how you've been approaching it so far. Ergo, it's not brought up, and thus it wouldn't be shared. And then for Roderick, then...
Roderick?
He's thinking.
Oh.
He's deliberating very heavily here.
One time we should have thought, and then Annie almost died.
I know.
So,
That's why it's like...
Man, am I about to spawn a whole nother 10-episode side quest?
I think if anything, I would when Aniel is asked when Aniel explains who is still alive, Levolt, Nadal, Marin, right? Those are the three that are still surviving besides her.
Those were the three that were alive when she was sealed away.
When she was sealed away, right? And I would would probably chime in then and just say that my mom had seen Nadal and he'd approached her.
Daniel, eyes go very wide. What?
She said that
When?
she said she feared him above all other creatures, essentially. Did she give me a time frame when she saw him?
Oh, you know exactly when. Because she said it was right after an event. A very massive event. One of the calamities.
Huge, massive event.
Yes, the Elven Madness, the second calamity.
Oh, would I say shit?
So you would know that the
I'd have to-
Elven Madness was at the end of the Age of Conquest. It's right before the start of the Age of Unity, which we're 3,250 right now. So it'd be 3,200 years ago. You would know exactly the year. Well, yeah, 3,252. Yeah. You would know exactly how many years ago it would
Oh. Evelyn couldn't really explain this then unless she said everything.
be. But you've already started saying things. Things have been said. My mother's seen him, and Aniel has responded. When? How do you approach this?
It was a long time ago, Aniel.
Of course, but how long? We just saw the vault. Has it been within the last year?
No. Longer than that.
How many? I see you can't trust me. After everything.
Not that, it's... It was after the Elven Madness. I'll tell her when it was.
Rithos is kind of rubbing his beard a bit. 3,000.
I know this...
100, or is it 3,000? Oh, let me double check my timeline real quick. Because now I think I thought it 133152 or 3252. Oh, timeline, where are you? Arkelya, timeline. It would be 3152. Sorry, 315. 3,000.
Yeah, right at the end of the Elven Madness.
Your mother is quite old.
At the Maw of Jiaozhen.
He's... special.
Clearly. High observer.
I know this is
Wait, but that doesn't make sense.
highly sensitive information, and I don't share it lightly. But Aniel, you need to know that he's
Oh my god.
he threatened my mother, Aniel.
Has your mother been the High Observer this entire time?
Evelyn just looks at him.
Not like teacher, like son. Absolutely not.
He put it together.
Almost looking up at the cracks of the ceiling right now.
Wonder. She's the Oracle. And she's still here.
Look, it's.
If only I could pilgrimage to Windheim right now.
Wait, can you please say that again?
What was
My
that?
character.
That's huge. Well. Daughter of the Oracle! Denizen from the hells! From under the mountain, an old doctor from Windheim and from Westwind. Yes! Yes! Quite the eclectic group. A diverse variety. The perfect cast. Of course.
And we'll
yes.
defeat Wormsworth, yes!
Who?
A worthy goal.
And Hampton, too.
It's his rivals from Windheim.
Yes. And so Ritho seems to kind of get into his own head for a bit. And then Aniel kind of chimes in as your guys' story kind of fills out the last bit, because there's still a little bit more to go through as you got to the Windheim portion. And it was then revealed that Doma told Aniel about the truth, but she perceived at the time, and you guys do as much as you can now to rectify that this is what happened, this is why. It seems Rithos has already come to a conclusion. And so I imagine then that you might be more willing to share the truth here, Evelyn. Is that it or not? Since he's already come to a fairly astute...
I would tell him broad strokes of what I know about my lineage. Yes. I mean, I'm not going to bog down the whole conversation with that. That's not the point.
Right. Enough.
Here.
Enough, though.
But yeah.
Yes.
I am indeed Arch. I
wish I knew this before I ran.
I wanted to be the one to tell you why I told my mom who you are, Aniel, and I'm sorry that
I screwed up again. When Doma told me I was afraid, I felt betrayed.
Aniel.
I thought it was going to be the same terror all over again.
I put my hand on her arm. Aniel, it's okay.
You don't understand what I ran. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. And then everything started fraying so quickly. And then before I knew it, I just was abandoned.
We never abandoned you, Aniel. Everything I've done for you, to save you. Because you were such a key part of this somehow. I quite don't understand why or how, but we found you. We saved you. We saved you.
I know that.
You saved us.
I know that. Because I came to the same conclusion in those final moments. Regret. Alone.
Aniel, don't regret anything.
There's nothing to regret. Your charge is not over. You haven't missed your opportunity for why you're here, why we're all here.
I don't deserve you.
Mentioned it before, mention it again, strings of fate and all that. And...
Exactly!
Yes,
Perfect,
exactly.
Baldric. Maybe
Yes.
Village, maybe the Architect. One of the two.
Architect, absolutely, architect.
Okay.
Here's why. So, the reasoning behind my theory is that if you did not, the timeline is a bit close, right? She just learned this important detail about who she is and where she's coming from. I'm pointing towards Evelyn. And did not have the opportunity yet to divulge information. And happenstance, Doma mentions to you the day before when Evelyn was going to actually talk to you. She's going to tell you this the next day, I promise you. The next morning, probably. But because of how all the events unfolded, where Roderick distracted us for something for a moment and distracted Evelyn too, we split up for a second, right? And she did not have the opportunity, but it was just enough an opportunity for Doma to spill the beans for you to leave to bring you here to Rithos. If we had not had that chance, we would not have been able to get in here, probably. Only because of the exact circumstances. That spindle, that thread, it had to be this way.
I intended to tell you everything. I really did, Aniel. I wanted you to hear it from me. What I am, who I am, why I'm here.
I'm sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry for.
Yeah, what we need to be focusing on is how to stop Ardoth Ravine. That's what we need to do now.
We're here now. We made it.
And we have the western states to worry about too, because there's quite a bit of foul energies over there.
With us, there's more about what happened under the mountain. I don't even know what to call it, a vision to test. I want to explain to him what happened between me and my brother, and being dragged to the other side. Well, I can.
Very well. Sorry, I had something I wanted to say, but I couldn't do it but that's fine. Very well. So yes, you get into your spiel about other things. Now, we have deprived Roderick, who we're still dwelling on his admittance or not with his ally, he's been sweating bullets over this for quite some time. But so this would have been, you would have probably talked about it during the initial recap, right? So
yeah, so he does kind of divulge his involvement, unintentional involvement, and the whole braiding thing, and how basically there may be there's some kind of relationship of some sort between Elrian and Benigera, just not sure what exactly.
And of course, this pacing is different. For Rithos would be a different mental state right now, right? But
Yeah.
yes, a warlock. It's not uncommon for mortals to seek powers to help them, but based on your circumstances, you were trying to just survive. It's a very, very tedious course. I would not cut you down myself in my city for such a thing. Maybe some others, probably the Terrace of Flame, would not be so kind. I would recommend keeping that close-lipped when you are around these parts. But you aim to break free of this, don't you? If possible?
Yeah, possible.
But you are aware that if you were to be free, you would be your old self, powerless to help stop the doom and gloom. Where would you get your source of power then?
The gods.
The gods don't just give power out freely, Akal. You have to resonate with them. Be a champion that they are willing to trust.
More about becoming a champion and learning to harness divine energies, yes.
Well, it takes a large amount of discipline, and even those that have the will do not always have the way. Because again, gods sometimes choose you, and not you choose them.
Is that a fast endeavor? Some of us don't have many years.
Like a fast
You
track of sorts.
are, of course,
Like a mark.
free to dedicate, but I'm more just interested here for Roderick's sake that you need to consider the scales of everything. I admitted to you earlier, right, not even knowing that seeking taboos will bring many frowns to the world around us, and some will judge you harshly for it. But some of us have the greater picture in mind and realize that when it comes, we will need every advantage, and there will be sacrifices necessary. But you need to pick your side. Do not let this theme woo you to its agenda. It is only seeking to get inches closer to its goal. So I am admirable to recognize that you are at least acknowledging that you would want to be free of it if possible. How to approach that is a whole task on its own. But don't forget what you gain from the deal. Now, on your question, Baldric, an expedient way with the gods. I mean, if you were resonant enough with them, you could perhaps go visit their domain and ask them yourself. Though, that would be rather difficult to do.
How does one test your aptitude towards resonation?
Well, we do have a way where we can recognize if a certain deity is well attuned with your soul.
Oh,
That's what they did. That's what they did at the gate, I think. He said we were claimed.
Claimed.
Yeah.
Do you
All
know what
of
that
you?
means?
All of us.
Yeah.
Seemed like it.
What else does that even mean?
Of course.
What does that even mean?
Doma, what do you
Sounds
mean?
like
What does that mean? Doma, I told you
I
we're
was-
claimed.
I
Doma!
understand,
He comes up and he
but I also
strikes you in the head. Take 1 damage.
totally stumbles forward, legs shaking.
Be careful, he's only got 4 HP.
No, he has 29.
Oh, okay.
Or like,
Yeah, the extra HP.
Oh,
is
yeah,
still
you're
there.
right. He didn't take it.
Rithos took that burn for him.
Yeah.
Should have been paying
Oh,
attention.
God.
I labored with you on those. We went over that 4 times. Clay.
I'm not good at books.
Claimed would be your soul resonating with a certain divine entity.
Ah.
And not even everyone here is claimed.
Oh,
Are you sure all of you are claimed, not just some of you?
that's what the.
It sounded like
That's
enough
such
of
a
us
the game.
passed the test to get
Must-
through.
That's
But-
what
Must have been some
that's
sort
what
of mistake.
that's what Isaiah, the guard up front, said, is that we were all claimed.
He would only let the claimed ones in. We were in tow with 2 other people, actually.
And he
did
told
not
them to
let
stay.
in.
No, it must have been some sort of mistake. Understandable, but...
Thoric, I think that you're wanting to believe that to be true, but
No. They saw my armor and just let me in, like he did as well.
They would not
I
have
don't think that's how it works here.
Isaiah would not have made such a grievous error. However, claim does not mean that you are destined to work with that god. It just means that the affinity is available.
How do we find that out?
Yeah, to check that.
Well, and how does anyone gain the attention of a god? It's very difficult. For me, I made an oath. I was born here, I was raised here, and I took an oath out in the cathedral out there in the Giver's Chalice. And ever since then, I had the powers I have now. Clearly, I have their influence and attention at that point in time. Are these Venehero's gifts, or are they the collective will of the Pantheon themselves? They are very powerful creatures. Just because I am sworn to her does not mean I am serving her. You have shared quite a bit with me about your struggles, your goals, your aspirations. And knowing what you all have experienced, I wish to share with you the history of Veneer, which then I will use to help leverage Veneer's current politics and what most of you probably are not aware of, what our sacred duty is. The Doma should know what that is. It has been drilled into you. But for the rest of your sake, let us go through that real quick, if you would give me the time.
Oh, please, take the lead here.
of course.
So, Veneer has been around prior to the Rending, though in the era of Arcane, it was a fortress. A place where the Sildarian had set roots to continue their westward expanse into neighboring ecosystems. And at the end of the era of Arcane, the Rending occurred. And the land shook and crumbled and splintered open. The skies grew dark with tempest and gale. Sleet came down. The waters boiled and rushed inland. Fires came from around. And the Estrin, our continent, was changed, as well as our world most likely, from that point going forward. And of course, during such a cataclysmic event like it's the Rending, those that were alive at the time suffered greatly. Many lives were lost, and the institutions, the governments, the cities that existed were ruined. And the fort that was predating Veneer suffered harshly, much like everyone else. However, enough of it remained intact that even when the growing Ilorn mountain range continued to reach skyward, there was enough fortress here to safeguard those that survived the initial destruction. But of course, as maybe those of you with history would know, the Rending is not just the cataclysmic event of the ground being sundered open. It was shortly thereafter the invasion of the Abyss, using whatever rip that had caused a tear in our plane. They tunneled their way in and began to consume and snuff out all life here in Arkelya with the goal of eradicating everything. And as much as you and I just discussed a moment ago, Thork, people begged and fled and pleaded with the gods to save them. But they weren't saved. City, town, survivors, refugees that tried to make their lives, died under the swarm of chaos. And they kept moving westward. Maybe if the rending did not sunder the land and the institutions that we had, we could have held them off. But because of everything falling apart, that was not possible. And so, one by one, all of civilization began to be eroded away. And people came in droves, local nearby residents knowing there was a fort here and meant for imperialism. This would be a great place to hold up. The demons could not breach here. And so they held up here, and we accepted many such refugees. But the chaos tide did come to our borders, and the siege began, and we held as long as we could, but they cracked through the wall and began slaughtering all of those women, children, enfeebled men, and even able-bodied men and women trying to fight for their lives. And as they came marching up to the top of the growing mountain, finally Venahir heard our pleas enough to come take action, and descended from the heavens and saved not just us, but the rest of Arkelya. After the ordeal of her initially destroying that massive army at our gates that had invaded its way through, she then proceeded to revive and resuscitate many, not all, but many of the fallen in the area, and healed many of their wounds, and then began to immediately march eastward. We learned during these invasion of the Abyss that our foe does not stay dead permanently. They gestate rather quickly. Killing one here, its soul is sent back to the Abyss, where it reforms into a new corporeal form, where it can resume its march elsewhere. It's hypothesized, and now confirmed later in time, that killing a demon in its native soil would kill it permanently. But only there. And this includes all demons. The more powerful the demon, the faster its remains get animated again over there. The new body forms. The weak ones take time. The more powerful ones come back quickly, within days. We mortals also have basically infinite number, but our gestation is what, 20 years for most of our race? Theirs are days. How could we ever hold out against such a foe? No wonder we were being annihilated during the Chaos Tide. Venahir also clearly knew this well in advance of our learning of it, and so she went over there to seal and stop their entry point. Those of us that still had strength, the revived or not, chased after her, trying to help her, knowing that we would be doomed ourselves, but we wanted to help her for saving the rest of us. But she was far faster than we were, and we were barely a help, more often catching the aftermath of few straggling survivors and catching them in our net. The final confrontation we did not witness, but there are some things we noted from other survivors we had gleaned along the way. Venahir was being injured on her path towards the barrier break. Seems the more powerful princes and princesses of the Abyss do have the means to harm the Pantheon. They are not invulnerable. Lesser demons maybe not so much so, but the stronger ones definitely can. And Venahir apparently bled along the way. Many of these princes and princesses were destroyed by Venahir. Few of them working together, as their kind are too distrusting of one another. Some did work in unison as they got cornered in the final spot, but most of them, when destroyed, never returned, probably learning the lesson that Venahir was far too potent for them. But one refused to yield, and he kept coming back again and again and again. The hungering one. He did not want to lose Arkelya, and he was the last prince left, and she fought him another time at that last break. There are no survivors or witnesses of the events that happened there. We were too far behind her at this point. What we do know is the hungry one did not survive, for if he did, we would all be dead. But Venahira has been gone since. This leads to many speculation. Did she sacrifice it all for us? Or is she injured and recuperating? Or something else? We don't know. But we are aware that her presence has diminished as the millennia have gone on, ever since this moment. This is a secret that many do not know. Some learned individuals speculate. But here in Veneer, we know of these truths, and I share them to you now based on what you have confided to me. Now, this covers the history of Veneer, of when we came to survive the rending. Let's move on to the next portion of our history. After the rending, we entered the Age of Rebirth, which you should all be aware lasted about 1,000 years, where society licked its wounds and reorganized itself, and made new cities, and those that survived were repaired. Veneer, Priscilla IV, was metamorphosized by the works of our first leader, our champion, the first scribe, an elven man who lived in the era of Arcane, and lived through the entirety of the Age of Rebirth, but did not get through the entirety of the Age of Conquest. He died shortly into the Age of Conquest. An exceptionally long-lived individual who was gifted with many prodigious feats. A feat that is now no longer available to us. One that apparently you have gained access to, Doma. Now,
Just me.
what was that?
Not just me.
Not just you. Who else?
Glance over at Evelyn.
Interesting. Well, based off of what was stated, and with Aniel's sacrifice, it is lead to suspect that those of you that have her fragmented soul inside of you could potentially learn to heal. That would include, I suppose, you, Roderick. But unfortunately for you, Baldric, Thorak, and Nicole, I don't believe that will be... You're probably limited like the rest of us.
I'm better at doing it the opposite anyway.
The first scribe was, yes, a noteworthy healer of incredible skill. Perhaps his mastery has helped him last as long as he did. He was the architect of Veneer and much of our base legislation. He made many of our doctrine, of our scripts, that helped us become what we are today, turning from a military outpost to a refugee camp into the holy temples that we are now. Now, during the Age of Conquest, our second person of great historical importance came into being, the Oracle. She visited somewhere in the early 100 years of the Age of Conquest. And she was gifted with clairvoyance beyond that of any other mortal we knew. Had visions of incredible detail and cause and effect. And the Oracle, proving her skills to the scribe, the first scribe, worked in unison to learn Veneer's destiny, our sacred charge by the Pantheon. For you see, after the rending, she foresaw 3 more calamities. The next 2 would not be as bad if right action would be taken as the first, but the 4th would be just as bad as the rending, if not even worse than the rending. For you see, the 4th calamity, it is not just Arkelya that is at stake, but all lives, all worlds will be handed at that point in time. Through her prophecies and the work with the first scribe, they came into unison of many accords and many scripts that then changed Veneer's policies just enough to include the new sacred charge. Veneer was unified with purpose. We would be the barrier of the 4th calamity. For you see, the 4th calamity's fight will happen here, in this city. this is where it will happen. Ever since then, we have taken our charge seriously, prepared ceaselessly for the fourth calamity that will undo all existence. That is our charge, our sacred right. Unfortunately, the first scribe did perish, and the oracle left as well. But she did leave us her scriptures, and the High Observer post was utilized multiple times to continue to reveal to us other tidbits. But based on what you have inferred me, Evelyn, we are now under the conclusion, or rather I am, that the oracle still lives. Nonetheless, our duty still remains. The calamity comes. All criteria are set.
What is the calamity?
The fourth calamity?
Yeah, what's gonna happen?
Very little will be known besides that a massive incursion will occur again. And Vanir will be sieged. And many will die. And it will be our duty to bleed and die here for the lives of everyone else. For if we don't do it, it will absolutely be doomed. So we have been doing everything in our power to prepare for the final onslaught.
That's what I've been listening to all my life at the temple. Doesn't get any better, trust me. And whilst you're on the topic of incursions and these abyss, Vanahira didn't stop all of them. There is another beneath the mountain, still raging on.
I'm not aware of that, but I am aware that there are still demons here on the surface.
We know the Hungering One is trying to fight back or come back. We've already run into his crones.
Right. The third calamity, he returned. The Abyssal legions have returned previously. They have found ways. We are aware. But she spoke of 3 more calamities, and we have gone through 2. The next will be the last one she prophesied. And all worlds are doomed if we fail.
How do we stop them?
That is not known. But I do have hope to give to you. For you see, my tale does not end here. Now, I will have to do a little bit more explaining for you to understand everything in the greater picture, but it will come, trust me. After the first scribe's death, and then the oracle, and then her leaving us, Vanir was unified and focused. We will do everything in our power to be the vanguard for the final calamity. And that has lasted for 6,000 something years, maybe even 7,000 years almost now. We have been doing that. However, a drift has been forming over time, and there will be 2 factions in Vanir, and they have not become more potent than now because we had a visitor 2 years ago who upon his arrival challenged our unification. And ever since then, Vanir has now been more split than ever. And of course, that visitor is, and he gestures towards Doma. For you see, he has the visage of one of our fabled enemies. And he got past all the barriers, right in the center of Vanir. Now then, what are the 2 factions, and why would Doma's presence challenge them? The first faction, the majority of Vanir, historically, traditionally, always been this one, the Fundamentalists. Fundamentalists who look at the core scripts of the first scribe more than anything else. They value and weigh his words above all else, and do accept the unified work between him and the Oracle. The second group is the Prosperatus. Those that seek to prosperity for everyone, all lives, including ours, who are sworn to duty. For if we neglect ourselves, we are not living, we were given this gift of life, we deserve to have an opportunity to express it and care about our neighbors. The Oracle spoke of these things, but these were more mentioned after the unified works, and the Fundamentalists do not accept these principles. The Prosperatists have been growing. We accept the Oracle's words and weigh them more heavily than the first scribes, trusting the unified works between them and her words more than the first scribes. Both are respected and paramount to the culture of Vanir, but these differing ideas have left a wedge between us. Doma, arriving past all the barriers, has put this stress higher than it's ever been. For the Fundamentalists have no excuses besides their duty and wanted him excised immediately. Even if he was innocent, it's not worth the risk, because he could betray us and bring the fourth calamity. The Prosperatists are also split on the method. Only about half of us even leniently trust Doma. A few of us, notably some in the higher positions, especially after discussing with Doma why he came, how he came, and learning of his same hatred for the plane of tyranny that the many of us have. When I spoke to you, Doma, and learned of that, I knew that you came to us for a bigger purpose. You could not have come on your own volition to the center of Vanir. No, it was divine intervention. You were brought here for a reason. And after all that has been alerted to me now, I am more confident than ever that all of you are the very pieces to stop the fourth calamity, which will be coming soon, since everything is arranged and moving at the pace. And you will have the choice, and your choices will determine the survival of all lives, which I know is a very big burden, and you do not have to accept it, but it is destined for you, woven by the gods above, be it Eleanor, Valad, or maybe others. They are looking at you for salvation.
Wait, hold on.
Ironic.
Kings, regicides, and abyssal creatures, and now we're talking about all of existence! Everywhere!
That's
Push it
correct.
better than ever!
And my mistakes just keep getting bigger and bigger.
What's next? The past, the present, and the future? Why not? Just yes! Bring it on! Great!
Well, I only need to remind you that the Feywild has already been affected by things.
That is why I trusted you, Doma. I have put my faith and my stake into you, saying you were here to help save us, and you have done everything that I have hoped for and continue to be. You are Arkelya's hope, and all existence hope. Be that beacon to shine and illuminate in the darkest pits of the universe, so that the rest of us can persevere and get through tomorrow.
It'd be the darkest pitch.
It must, for if he won't go into it, who will? And the rest of us will be blind and swallowed by the shadow.
I'm definitely gonna be dead before this is all over. There's no chance now.
Well, if it's your destiny to die for the gods, then you have to do it.
No,
I can't get away now, can I?
It is your choice. It was an opportunity presented for you, and none of you have shook the challenge this far, have you? You have overcome many obstacles, many dangers together, and you care about one another. You're no simple sellswords. You would not have done what you've done for Anio. You would do the same for any one of you. You are not adventurers. You are heroes. But if you do not want that responsibility, don't accept it, for you will falter when it's needed most. Something inside each and every one of you resonates with this charge, Just like us in Veneer, willing to give everything we have when the final destruction comes. And many of us will. Something in your soul is saying, I'm willing to do what's necessary for everyone. Regardless of what your mouth speaks. So now then, you know Veneer, one of the greatest secrets, and why I have put everything, all my hope, on Doma. And the time is ticking, for all the pieces are now moving, and rapidly. Medan has returned. The fourth calamity comes. It will destroy all of us. Are you willing to fight for your life and all lives? And what we've learned now of these three, they are most certainly part of it. And you have witnessed some of their machinations and have ties to them. No one would be more equipped to try to stop this than you all. And you are all, clearly, quite powerful. So I beg you and implore you, please accept this duty.
There's never a moment I wouldn't.
That a boy! Yeah. And a hearty slap on the back. Gonna get pushed like a foot or so forward.
Another damage.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint me.
I'll do it as well. Not because someone told me to, and not for any of those fucking gods or divines. I'll do it for me.
Rather Veladian of you, but understandable. Rise to the challenge.
I know, right?
I mean, I've already accepted my fate. But my fate doesn't have to be anyone else's in this room. I walk a very specific path that my mother's laid out. Has sacrificed much for. But I understand if others cannot continue.
You all have such diverse backgrounds, ambitions, and goals, and look at you. From all these different parts of the world, working together now. The times ahead of you will be tough.
When have they ever been easy?
True.
Very Veladian of you. Very Veladian.
I swear.
I don't know. I feel like I'm in such a precarious situation here, though.
Why is that, Roderick? Because of your friend?
If you call him a friend, sure.
I don't know if I would.
Yeah, because I mean, it seems right now his interest is to stop this. Seems to be semi-stop this from happening, in a sense. But what beyond that, or what happens if we stop it and then maybe it's his turn to kind of do what needs to be done.
Unfortunately, we don't know terribly large amount about the Far Realm entities. Maybe the Terrace of Curiosity could be more providing, but I have not received too much about their interest. Our destined foe is the Abyss, the Nahir's hated enemy more than any other. I do not know what the Far Realm, one of the three outer evils, plans are, but it can't be good. They are called the Plane of Contradictions. That means there must be a contradiction to life, and they must want it destroyed as well. Is that your friend, or is that one of the other ones out there? I would beg you to not trust him, and it seems you don't. But it also seems he doesn't trust you.
You're right. And this is because of the being braided and not necessarily having a contract.
So he claims. Is it true?
You also mentioned Venahira, and he punished you quite severely for that.
Yeah.
Simple question.
That's a very good
Wow.
What is his
Contradiction kind of explode.
He scattered his soul into a billion pieces or something. I mean, it was pretty extreme in terms of reaction to a question about Vanahira.
But your substance were sounding like it was inadvertent. Almost accidental, not intentional.
It was.
Was it?
Baldric, you have something in mind.
Although the fated enemy is the Abyss, we do know one of the three betrayers is working for the Calathip.
Correct.
And that's where Ardoth Ravine comes into play. And so for sure, the Far Realm is a part of this.
They're a player somehow.
We suspect it is the Catholic. Not 100% sure.
Fortunately, that name, much like Elrian, is very unused to my ears. I have no advice to offer you on such
You said we could go where? The Terrace of Curiosity?
Yes.
The Illinois Terrace, they know many things. We have had individuals scout out the other planes, and some come back and some don't. They would maybe know some things about that, but we do have most of our knowledge amassed about our destined foe. Very little about the plane of tyranny, and very little about the plane of contradictions.
What do we do first, then?
That is the next question, actually, is what now? What are your goals? You've come here at the urgency to save Aniel, who you all care about deeply. Now that she seems to be of health, where do you aim to go? What do you aim to do?
She can't leave here. She can't. She's in the same, from what she explained to us, she's in the same state as what she was a week ago. And we were going to make the trek here because she wasn't doing good. She needs to be
Needs rest.
close proximity to this in order to rehabilitate. Revitalize, yes. Her predicament is related to mana, and she doesn't have enough in her to sort of be self-sustaining. It's been depleted too much, and she needs to be near an external source. And that's why we went with this very risky but paid-off plan. Well, we didn't have much to go with, but it looks like it worked. That's why I was desperately trying to be able to perceive the state of mana in here after she came back. See, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? But I just can't quite muscle through the sheer immensity of this ley line.
Yes, well, I don't know what that means for you. Are you going to stay here with her then?
Well,
if she can't leave.
I don't know that we can.
The thing is this. We can't.
No.
As you've mentioned, we have to go out there and stop this from happening. We do.
See, this is part of the Prosperatus Creed. We want to help outside too, but the Fundanatus refuses to allow us to send anyone out there. Only those under interrogation are allowed to leave Vanir, and many consider them traitors.
Is that why you haven't helped the Western states with this sickness? You haven't been able to send anyone because of that?
We have almost never helped any of our neighbors in any crises. Only in the calamities have we had sent any aid.
Because we have to dedicate all resources toward the fourth calamity, and when it's going to happen here. That's right.
That is our charge. That is our duty. And since the Fundanautists have held the roots here for far longer than the Prosperatus have any say, we have turned a blind eye to the suffering of our neighbors, and to ourselves.
So do we have no option. We have to go. It has to be us. We're the only ones that know what's happening. And as you have mentioned, we have a resonance, an affinity towards certain streams at play.
We still need to figure out. My mom wants me to investigate the orcs as well.
I still need to figure out what the test was going to be for.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you had been given a vision since. a stone forest, yes?
We believe it to be Valkal's home under the mountain.
Well then, Domo, I would recommend heading there. I do not know why they had your brother poised that way. Some might call it an unfair trial, but there might be other explanations beyond that. Things that we do not understand.
There's always another explanation, isn't there?
There very well could be, Thork. Let's not fill ourselves with hubris assuming that we once again see everything.
Let's not get foolish enough to just believe everything at face value. And
Fair.
just blindly believe.
Well, that's part of faith, Thork.
Yeah.
As a Draborlorian or as a Valadian, you must have some faith inside your heart.
At some point, enough is enough.
Ah, then you must be very resolute in your convictions. Very well.
Well,
Coming back from the dead doesn't change his mind. I don't know what would, to be honest.
as a doctor, I want to make sure Aniel is going to be stable and is on a recovery path, if that makes sense. And so I don't want to remove her from this vicinity. But we can't, as we've mentioned, we've got way too many things just to sit idly by. A proposal. We go help our giant friend, because it's not too far. Leave Aniel here in the within care of Rithos, because he knows about her actual origins, and he'll be a staunch ally. He can watch over her. Now feel safe, Aniel, leaving this proximity to this external source. We can help Sever come back and see what sort of forecasted recovery Aniel has, and repay our giant friend. That's my immediate proposal. And then we can determine our big plan from that point. Will Aniel be strong enough to come with us into the Undermountain? Or are we going to the Western States and to start to worry about the Hungering One, who is obviously at play there?
Definitely like to go to Westwind first. We can go back and wait.
There's another place in here we have to go. Something about the scrolls.
We have a scroll for... yeah. Or...
Did we give her a book?
Not.
No,
we have
we
not
have-
seen her yet.
Yes,
we have not seen...
we haven't gone to the Cabinet of Curiosities to
Correct.
deliver any of that.
Yeah, we can do that after we figure this out.
Yes, that is our
the
next.
scroll
That is
our
our
general
for...
yeah. It's Yazeo Convos.
Ah, the
What
Exalted
did the
Eye.
scroll say?
Correct.
The Exalted Eye is the book, and then the red scroll from the general is for...
Should also be Yazeo. The contact for the
I have
for
it
Master
blinking.
Ori.
Yes, Master Ori. Yeah,
Or
not the
the
general,
Dagger
sorry,
is
Master
idea.
Ori.
I agree with these sentiments, 100%.
Did we already go over what was on the paper he was delivered?
Ah,
Not a chance to read
No.
it all.
no, we have not. I actually have not read it all the way. There is quite a mass of text listed on here, and I seem to have crumpled up quite a bit of it in the short breathlessness of your friend. Sometimes I let my emotions play out. I will give these a gander over while you guys do your other activities. Of course, you are free to explore Vanir as you see fit, since you are allies of ours. However, there are some things you all need to consider heavily now, as I share to you Vanir's current culture. Doma is under interrogation. This does not forbid him from being allowed entry into Vanir, but part of the reason why he was granted interrogation was to get him out of Vanir. He would fail and die out there, and the problem would be resolved, and he could not betray us if he was inside our walls. Is one of their hopes, I suspect. So they don't want him here, and the longer he stays, the more problem it is. And there's another thing that you are not alerted of. Moments before you came to this terrace, Doma was attempted to be judged in the venerable vault down below. The leaders of the Fundaunautis apparently had set up a trap, seizing the opportunity to exorcise him without the rest of the Hexolic being present. But we made it in time, and he survived. As such, this shows clearly the current situation of Veneer. While I would want it to be a hospital place for you, it cannot be, especially if you are associated with him to any capacity. However, there'll be 3 terraces that will be more safe than others. I would recommend not going down below. I would not recommend going to the Terrace of the Walked. I would not recommend going to the Terrace of Flamed or the Terrace of Trials. The Terrace of Curiosity, the Terrace of Balance, and the Terrace of the Blessed. Unfortunately, to leave Veneer would mean you'd have to go through one of those terraces. That is your choice of which one you proceed through.
So the 3 that were safer were Curiosity. What were the other 2?
These are the Balance, Curiosity, and Blessed. Yeah. The 3 highest terraces.
We should go through the Terrace of the Lord when we leave.
Whichever one you choose from. Hopefully no actions will be taken, but the longer you stay here, the longer Doma's tenure, the more likely they will act again, and it'll be hard to protect you. If you're in shorter visits, it will more likely be tolerable. But prolonged staying was seen as a affront. Doma.
How long is he due to be this interrogated status?
Interrogation
I assumed it was permanent.
Lasts permanently unless the timeline has been provided. In Doma's case, there was never a strict timeline, but at the same time, we have already given him 2 years to accomplish this task, which we use to train him in the arts he has now, which he has attuned to quite well, it seems. Doma, though, your interrogation was on 2 subjects and 2 subjects alone. The Orc War, and finding out why.
We still haven't found out why.
I will share not all the secrets here, but some with the other Exalted Hexolic, in hopes that maybe some shared vision can be restored. And I also will bring up to them that an amendment to your interrogation needs to take place, where Wainheim, a staunch ally of ours, needs aid in the Western States, and you will be our aid to the Western States. I will not bring up your new gifts, of course not. I will not put anything in line of your dangers to make things more problematic for you. We will keep them as they are, as kosher, but this should give you a little bit more clearance to come and go. However, this will take time for the Exalted Hexolic to agree. I'll have to start making preparations for that pretty quickly here. This will mean that you will probably stay at least tonight, and then you are free to move as you see fit.
Is it safe for us to stay in the city for a night?
Yes.
Or should we leave?
If you stay in the 3 terraces I mentioned, you should be fine.
We cannot split up.
No, absolutely
we have
not.
To move as a group. Will Aniel be safe here? We are sort of... The reason we can't split up is now the All-Stars coming in with Doma, and therefore we are, by proxy, also enemies of Veneer. And so until the good word gets spread about, we have to stay together. But what about Aniel?
Is she going to be safe?
Whole plan is that she stays and safe. Can we guarantee that no one's going to come and try to attack her and judge her like they apparently quickly tried to judge Doma?
Correct. I understand your concern. There's 2 sides of this that needs to be addressed. Side 1. I have already sworn that I will do everything in my power to protect her. I have learned and she has given her faith to me, and I will take my duty seriously. The Gilded Dawn are at my beck and call. I will only put the most trusted of my individuals with her, and I will not give all the details so that your vows are not in jeopardy. Aniel, I have to admit to you, though, if time comes necessary, I might have to share some of your vows of secrecy, but only with those that are needed at that point in time. But for now, I will keep this close to my chest so that I can try to uphold as much of my honor as possible. So yes, I am willing to help protect your friend. The second problem, though, that you need to concern here is what does Aniel want? And this is where you would then maybe actually pay attention to her, and you see that she's just staring down at the ground, and her right hand is clenched and it's shaking. I understand what's happening. I don't mean to be a detriment to everyone. You all have so much on your plate already. I will stay. But I will miss you all. Because I've grown to love you all. Well, it seems like that is out of the way then.
Daniel, maybe the treatment you've been here will recover you quickly. And as I've mentioned, 2 people are now able to actually contribute mana in dire emergencies. So maybe you will be able to join us soon as we stop the end of the universe. Why? Wormsworth was one thing and Hampton, but this! So much to bear. I'm 82.
Baldric has aged 5 years of stress from starting to hang out with you guys. 3 years just from today. From today alone, he gained 3 years of life lost.
His beard grows an extra.
You haven't come back. It's still blurry.
He's still seeing specks.
Yes, every time you look at one, it moves. You can't keep it's part. I wish sure there's no more of that salve in there. Ecall.
You are free to check the Terrace of Curiosity. We have several reagents there. You are headed that way as it is. Now, since you have some focus here, and some good things have transpired today. Very good things. You need to recognize something. Do not push yourselves into the ground. While time is limited, we do not know when it will happen. Do not kill yourselves by going too hard too quickly. As the Prosperatus state, you must still live your lives. Do not let the duty swallow you whole. That would be an affront to the very gift Venahira has graced all of you. Be beacons of light and hope for those around you. Help them, and you will help all of us prepare for the fourth calamity. Do not forgo your common man. I will go ahead and start working on a meeting. If you all could at least hang out here for 10 minutes to be Aniel's guard, I will return in due time. Unless there was any other immediate questions for me?
Thank you for your help.
Can I ask you a private question?
Absolutely. Just between you and me, or is everyone else here okay to hear it too?
Just between you and I.
Sure. Let's just go to the other side of the corner then, because I don't want to break the seal until we're all ready.
Weekend mind.
So we move. You two and him move way over there, and it'll be presumably only the two of you can hear this conversation.
I'll dig deeper in the bag. I'm sure there's some salve left.
So the reason why I've had a thought since basically being associated with the outer evils isn't necessarily beneficial for my party. Is there like anything in history or any way in shape form in which you can make a contract with one of the gods instead in this same kind of manner?
We discussed this a little bit a moment ago. I do not think it's impossible for a god to give and bestow such boons on another individual. At the same time, typically those that gain arcane or divination-based skills are those of clerics. I don't know what that would be in your future if you could convert to a different orientation, but it would be something to consider.
Without being, I guess, in the sense of sort of a cleric, I know when, well, I've had the Hunger one attached to me apparently, you know, they said he can take the place of my current patron, but I didn't believe him in that case.
They all promise anything they want to just to get into you. They all have their own agenda. Even if they can benefit them just even the smallest of steps, it helps them. And they'll give you small tidbits of power to entice you to come. It's kind of odd. The gods can also be argued to be similar in that regard. They give you gifts when you have an accord that works with their agenda. However, they are very selective in who they give it to. Well, warlocks tend to seek their patrons out themselves. They all have high demands. I can't quite say which one isn't necessarily morally correct. There is a fair speculation that should be judged on both. However, one clear determinant I would argue to you is that the Pantheon has demonstrated to us time and time again that they are interested in the prosperity of life and have fought and had dealt against the outer evils numerous times, who we seen historically are interested in chaining, devouring, or eradicating. So there would be some evidence that the divine are probably a little bit more trustworthy.
In this case, maybe the best option would be to go to the temples.
If you want to try to converse with one of them, you can sure. We do call this sacred ground. However, the other religions that are here are more, not to be rude to them, latched on to the importance of what Venahira did here and their own presence. And based on what I told you already, Venahira's presence has diminished significantly. Are the other gods listening at those locations? I would like to believe they are. After all, Ulsus, Hesma, Oscor, Ysael, Robadine all have gifts. Where does that power come from, if not the divine? It will not be an easy path for you, friend. You have much deliberation to do. Though, keep in mind, the more bold you are against your colleague currently, the more angry he might get with you.
If I do anything, this may be the safest place to do it.
Here, yes. At the apex. Surely you're cut off. Out in the city, a little bit more debatable. We have put far more effort and wards here than anywhere else. You should not have been given entry here. I tell you that. Not just you, all of you. But
I understand that. I appreciate you for allowing us to say that here.
I think it's destiny.
Maybe so.
You're a good man. I can sense it. Circumstance might tie you with things that are not perceived as good, but you will use that knowledge to help. I know it. I will hope for the best for you, Roderick. And confide to me again in the future. I will begin to look for some possible answers for you as well. I will probably have to rely on Ysael a bit, but I'm sure you're okay with me advising a little bit to her?
Sure, as long as I don't get struck down in the middle of the city.
She would be more likely to strap you to a table and ask you a million questions and maybe harvest some pieces, but
You know what? Strike me down in the middle of the city.
Right. Well, I will do everything I can to assist.
Thank you.
Good luck on your journey.
All right, they start heading back.
All right. Anyone else have anything they want for Rithos right now? All right. I will return in due time. He puts his hands up, and you see the back of his hand a similar looking flash of divine light as the seal around the door uncoils. Door pulses, and he pushes it open. And he looks at all of you. He nods. He looks at Doma last before he closes the door back, and you guys are sealed inside, and that blue spiral goes back around. And you guys are now sealed. Just you lot in the apex.
Trapped!
Trapped. Presumably
He's
so.
gonna open the door, there's gonna be an army there!
He's really part of the Funanatus. Incoming siege weapons!
Oh, no!
And you know what? You have no way to get out. I made sure of it. Baldrick's tapped. Evelyn's tapped.
Yes.
Quick, everyone get in the fountain. They're not willing to break it.
Oh, wow, that's probably true. Are you okay, Roderick?
Yeah. Just kind of rethinking a few things.
Yeah.
So who has an affinity to which god then? Are we all the same affinity or different ones?
I forgot to ask.
Let's see, should we make some random guesses and see who's who?
Sure. What would your best guess be?
See, well, I think Aniel has been a hero. Because of your affinity of it. Thorak? Traveler.
He's literally yawning as you say that.
Much to his dismay, huh?
He's like, nah, pass.
Before Rithos' conversation about us when he was observing us and peering into our souls, would say that Doma would have been Marlesh, but what he said about Evelyn and finding the balance between political, I'd have to say Marlesh is actually with Evelyn. And then you have that Monica nickname of Vlad's Chosen, and your very existence from the very beginning of time, Doma, was literal tribulations and hell. You can't get much more trials than that, so Vlad for you.
Well, someone plucked him out of wherever he was, right? And dumped him here.
Yes.
Why does it have to be a different one for everyone? Everybody's been a hero. To the end.
Could be.
Could be
right.
Possible. Things that Rithos was saying really make me think one per person. I almost feel like I'm smiling right now. I almost feel like I'm smiling right this second.
Take 6 radiant damage. A migraine, a flare up from the.
Set on fire a little bit.
From his melting his mind.
Back in the heat.
Evelyn's gonna walk up to Aniel. So I'm assuming she's chilling by the edge of the pool still. Where's Aniel?
She's slightly out of the pool. I imagine during the long-willed conversation, Doma probably would have put it. Yeah, his arms would have started burning, and he'd be like, "Gee, I don't want to be embarrassed here," but he had to like awkwardly put it.
It's like he held her long enough that it's too awkward to put her down now. So the whole conversation.
And then she also was contributing a lot, and so she was more animated, and so
sitting on the edge.
She walked out of the pool. She's not in the pool at all right now. She's out of the pool. And so she's like she's probably the closest to the pool at this point in time. Doma's probably within close range of her, but she's still looking down at the ground. She still is very tense, based on the last conversation that was presented to all of you.
Aniel?
She blinks, and then her eyes turn up towards you.
Can you forgive me for telling my mother? I didn't.
Yes. I wasn't so much upset about you doing that. I was afraid. I thought you were betraying me just like the three. I thought I was about to be chained again.
Aniel, I would never do that. Look in my eyes, Aniel, and I hold her hand.
I know that. I understand that now. As I said, I came to that conclusion when I collapsed by that tree out in the forest. As my life slipped from my fingers, all I had was regret. I missed you all, and I didn't.
I'm sorry we weren't there quicker.
It's my own choosing. You have nothing to apologize for. I'm sorry I can't be more of a help, and I've been such a burden to all of you to have put such other lives.
Stop. We're family, practically. There's give and take. We do what we can for each other because that's what family does. You need to stop beating yourself up over things you can't control. I don't want to leave you here, but you need to heal.
Thank you for freeing me and giving me the life I never had. It has been very enjoyable despite the tribulations. I wish I got to experience more of it before, but what we've had now has been very enlightening and rewarding. Please be safe out there. I want you all to return.
I give her a hug.
She hugs you back.
In the background, you heard Baldur talking to a call. No, a call, you have to be Kix Looney, see, because the reason behind it is each one gets a god. And if we're 7 of us, and there's 7 in this sort of proxy pantheon, the only one left through process of elimination is Kix Looney. You have to accept it.
A call's not there. DDW left. He's not even responding.
He's to participate in this conversation.
Due to the fact that he's not
so
here.
mad, raging on the other side of the screen. Going, no! Cannon!
Microphones across the room right now, just out of sheer rage.
Right, everyone in character agree he's kicked someone out.
It's canon. It's canon.
Canon now, boys.
Oh no. Oh no.
Alright, so time goes by. Other conversation may be taking place, right? And then Rithos does return, but a little bit later than he said. Somewhere in the ballpark about 20 minutes later. Oh, sorry I'm late. Conversation was a little bit longer than necessary, and this is only to get the conversation really going rather than actually the full amendment and the interrogation. But the other Hextolic are willing to meet, which was quite an ordeal to orchestrate.
Meet who? Doma or just amongst yourselves?
Just us.
Oh,
Doma will not be present.
good.
That's good.
So, with that in mind, I have already organized several individuals to guard entry here if we wish to leave Anya here, or if you want to test some other options to see if she can be maybe in a more comfortable arrangement.
With how close it was, I would like to put all our eggs in the little basket we have left and keep her close by as much as you're comfortable, since this is really more your sacred space, but somebody else too, because she was sort of a practitioner of Anahira before you, actually, so maybe you should be asking her for wisdom. Yes. Well, anyways, until we can sort of get a forecast, at least for a day or so, and then maybe we can be adventurous and careful and gravitating her away from the apex, if you are comfortable with her being in such a sacred area.
I'm fine with it. Based on the circumstances at hand, I agree with your assessment.
Good, good.
As long as she's okay with here, I'm fine with it. And she nods, but doesn't speak up. Very well.
We can leave a bedroll or something so you could be at least more comfortable.
You did grab her.
Yeah, we have her
that-
bag.
The one bag of small goodies you gave her.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
And there's a change of clothes in here too, Anya.
the
There's
area?
her formal dress.
Not her formal dress, the formal dress of that like mayor. She's gonna be walking around she'll be walking around Veneer like the most dolled up thing in Veneer, and they're like, who the fuck?
But we can also find you something in town, probably.
I can also acquire other clothing for her. Probably want her to be in a little bit lesser garb. If she
Sturdier
is of
clothing.
health to move around, we'll take it very slowly in the time being. Sounds like you'll be returning within the day anyways. No, not tonight. You are staying as guests of Veneer tonight. For sure.
I am spent. I am
exhausted.
beyond.
Beyond.
I am, yes.
Needs.
Yeah. That light really took it out of me. I am still scrambling here to see things straight.
What time of day is it? Roughly?
Yeah, well, that's
Do
your
we
watch.
even know?
Like 1 p.m.
Did you wind it?
1 p.m.
Yeah,
probably.
Did you wind it?
I think you guys
Oh,
arrived
man.
around 12ish is when I think you're around. So I think it's about 1. I could be a little off. It's afternoon.
Yeah, I think we traveled for half a day because we double timed it the day before.
And
Or
you,
didn't
and
double
you-
time it.
and you woke up pretty
Further.
early. So I think it's around early afternoon.
I just need to rest.
Right. Well, with that in the way, you are free then to leave the Apex. I will go ahead and arrange for more support here for her in the time being. If you need entry back to speak with her, let me know. Aniel? He nods to her as he puts his hand up to the door and the seals. And the door's open. And there are 4 guards in the hallway right now. And their eyes, they keep staring forward, but their eyes look to the left just a little bit.
Is this? You mentioned wards. Is this room able to get a sending spell or maybe some sort of scrying? Probably not, but
Divination, no. Conjuration, no.
divination, no.
Sending, I don't know how that one works. I know that there is a way. I think it's evocation, so probably good, maybe not. Well, you'll have to try it. I don't know. It's not like I'm the one that constructed everything. I just know for certain that divination is barred as is conjuration.
Before we leave, I give her another hug.
Okay. She
Be
reciprocates.
safe.
She'll nod.
We'll be in touch.
Aniel, I am very relieved that you are still with us. My lady.
And I walk out.
So Rithos has left the precipice, but he's at the door still because he'll have to reseal the chamber.
Doma's gonna take Aniel by the hand and kind of turn her towards him and say, "I'm sorry for not telling you everything in a way that made you panic in such a... I'm not really sure what to say. I will always be here for you, Aniel. I mean that."
Thank you. As soon as I'm able again, I'd like to continue traveling with you all.
Nothing would make me happier.
Please be safe. And she squeezes your hand.
Doma goes in for a hug.
She'll
Why don't you do
reciprocate.
that first?
Please, I mean it. I don't want to lose any of you. Even Baldric, he's so old.
Aniel's spitting fire.
Welcome.
Ears are burning. Someone's talking about me. Oh, that blinding light is now coming out the ears.
His ears start ringing.
I think you just need a rest, Baldric. It'll be fine. It'll be okay.
There has to be some more of that Alvin there. Call, look deeper. Look deeper.
Can we make some more if we find ingredients? Did you make it?
Yeah, you got. All right. So Doma, you leave. Okay. All right. So as you guys are piled out in the hallway, and she's still in there with the bag that she's placed like by one of the diamond geodes. Brithos begins to close the doors, and Aniel offers a very light wave. So it's a reluctant wave, right? When one of your loved ones is leaving line of sight, and door closes, and that blue seal. Right. All right, you men.
Damn, that was tough.
Do not let anyone through. Except me, of course. And these individuals. Which, of course, you can't let them through, because only I can break the seal. But, nonetheless, onward, friends. We have many things to do. Friends of Doma? Doma? Let's go.
There's food in there, right?
Yeah, she had some
The fucking rations in the bag.
some rations or whatever. So, I don't think you guys would have left without that. Besides, she's not gonna. He'll check in on her anyways, like throughout.
We're gonna bring her food and
It's not
clothes
that
and
inept.
stuff.
Anyway, so as you guys leave and get into the rest of the Giver's Chalice, leaving her there, and you are all now in the main cathedral. Rithos kind of gives you like all a nod as you guys are basically on the precipice of the exiting the Giver's Chalice. All right, there's many things for you to do. I know you're all tired. Try to maximize the time you have here. There are many other agendas for you to handle. But again, do not disrespect yourselves. You need rest. You need to have your own pleasures. Find them and enjoy them. Now, I will go and speak with the rest of the Hexolic, because that meeting is soon. Doma, I expect you to see me before you leave.
I wouldn't dream of leaving without talking to you.
Where are you guys planning on staying, by the way?
Got an inn recommendation?
And you know Veneer doesn't have such nonsense.
So I've been traveling for a while.
Were you going to go to the Emerald Enclave? Or were you planning on staying here at the terrace?
I'd rather stay up
Blessed.
here if we can. Find some place just to be out of the way and camp out.
Well, Doma initially had his stay up here on the terrace in the barracks. However, when he decided to approach Marlesian discipline, he was then moved towards the Emerald Enclave. So technically both would be your home. So I didn't know which one you would preferred. It's your choice, Doma. I just wish to know.
I could always ritually cast the Leoman's tiny hut if we really needed to. Quite cozy.
Right, but I can also give you bedding and a comfortable stay. We have the space.
I'll take bedding.
Yeah, there's probably like rooms, right, for
I'll
the
take a
people
real
that.
bed.
Yes, for garrison and other personnel. I can get you a room. Did you want here, or did you want to go to the Terrace of Balance? Robert Dean could also organize things there.
I think we should stay up here, Doma. Do you think?
I'll need to visit the terrace. But, yeah, here would be a good place to stay.
Understood. I will then prepare those preparations for you as well. Understood. All right. You are dismissed. And remember, life is our duty. And duty is our life. He leaves. You guys are now all here at the edge of the Giver's Chalice with opportunity to go as you see fit into Veneer.
I thought I was about to say, and remember, don't trust the dungeon.
And remember, don't trust the Dungeon Master.
Sounded
So,
exactly like it.
but at this
How to
point,
fit it in.
at this point in time, we are an hour post. I know that means basically we only have a 3-hour session, I think, at this point in time. But we got some East Coasters, got some far East
One
Coasters.
more hour.
All right.
Are you okay with that, Potato? It's your call, man.
Yep.
I found this.
And
I found this as a convenient spot, but
either way.
I think we can squeeze in another hour and not screw up any of my scheduling.
That schedule is fucked regardless. It's more how I'm feeling. I thought I would be way more rested, but I've just been a couple of times. I was like, whoa, no.
It's alright. I'll make it easy on Potato. I have things I gotta do tomorrow, so I would like to call it.
All right, there we have it then. So we will then be ending the session here.
Wait. No, we have to go rest. We have to make it to rest.
Listen.
Hey, we can't rest.
You would either you're like at midday. You have other tasks on hand. So no,
We'd have
unfortunately,
to go do other stuff before we could rest.
you could have feasibly got some of that done in that hour, maybe all of it, but
It's fine. We'll
gotta stay level 10 still.
Corpse, blighted, fireball, walking around barely alive.
You were going to do it anyways, okay? All right, so hey, that's episode 52. 1 year out of sessions there.
Wow.
So, and remember, don't trust the dungeon master. Good night.
Never.
Good night.
Bye, buddy.
Never.